Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It is Jaron from Jeranism. I'm back with another live video for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. As always, I do appreciate it. A lot of people have been asking, where have you been? Well, I've been here. I haven't been very far. A lot of people know that I have a son who's now 19. Can you believe that? Hard for me to believe, but yeah, 19 years old. And yeah, after he graduated high school, he went back to live with his grandparents in Delaware, said he was going to get a job there. We won't mention the fact that he's been there a year and has not worked a day. Those things will go unspoken. But he's here. He's been visiting me. He's here for a month, so I've been spending a lot of time with him. I've told people already my sister graduated from college, so we've had some parties with her, and that's down in L.A. She graduated from Long Beach. Let me add a little volume here. I don't think my volume is high enough. Testing 1 2. Oh, by the way, I also want to thank so anyway, that's just to finish off that thought. I've been here, so I haven't gone anywhere. Also been working on my movie, which will be released around July 16th to July 20th. The trailer's also coming soon. That movie is called NASA Going Nowhere Since 1958. It's an excellent video piece, if I may say so myself, in my completely unbiased opinion. So that's what I've been doing. I've been busy doing that. So again, I want to always thank my patrons. First and foremost, they're the ones who make this video possible, make this channel possible, make my Monday night show possible, and make Globebusters possible as well. And we'll talk about that in a second. But this show today is called Globebusterish Sunday Discussion, and it is live. Hooray! I also see I have a super chat. Thank you very much to Scooter183907, little A, for the $2 super chat, or I don't know if it's $2. It says A in front of it, whatever that means. Maybe that's Australian, maybe that's Armenian, or it could be something else. I don't know. Approximate. Could be approximate $2 super chat. So I do appreciate that. If anybody sends super chats, as always, I will read those when I get a moment. So yeah, so today is a Globebuster-ish Sunday discussion. The reason for that, and I know a lot of people may be looking for the Globebuster show, it is not currently running. We've been running that show for 3 years now, 3 years plus, and Bob wants to take a step back. Hey, that's Bob's, it's up to him. If he wants to do that, he can do that. I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm not going to say, you have to do the show. You must do Globebusters. No. But I will let you know this, that going forward until Globebusters comes back, and I don't know when that might be, hopefully in a month or two. If not, you can count on one thing, and that'll be me here with you every Sunday at the Globebusters time on my channel. This week we have, like I said, Bob's taking a step back. Eru is out of the country. Well, he's always out of the country. He's always out of this country. He's out of even his own country of Argentina. Argentina. You ever heard of that country? I have. That's where Eru lives. And he's out of this country. He's talking to, or he's spending time with his girlfriend. I believe they're in Spain. Could be wrong about that. But anyway, he will be back, maybe not next week, but probably the following week. And he will be joining me. We'll be doing some shows, and we'll be doing them from here on my channel until further notice. So if you need your Globebuster fix, I would just come to the Jeranism channel, which is far superior in many, many ways. If you didn't know that, now you do. No, so hopefully it comes back soon. Thank you very much to Dark News Network. Glad to see you. Flat Earth Power, keep the flame. Yep, I'm not going anywhere. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the idea of what's the next thing, what's going on with Flat Earth, what are you doing next? And we've already done so much. And really it's up to people to decide whether or not they want to believe in the spinning ball religion. And that's what it comes down to. It's simple to me at this point. I go outside, I look at the stars, I look above me, and I realize that I was taught a lie about where I live. And you can either be in that camp, or you can be in the camp that, no, everything that we were indoctrinated with, everything that was forced down our throats from the age of 2. And once you see it, it's glaring. And you see it everywhere. It's in every commercial. This regurgitation, this recertification, just the constant barrage of Globe propaganda. You know, I have to turn down the volume or mute my show before we go live. And right before I did that, I flipped over, and there's an ad for Chris Hadfield and Masterclass playing right before this very video. So they're going to do what they can to keep you indoctrinated, and it's up to you. You have every right, as I've told people before, you have every right to believe in what you're told. You have every right to believe in gravity as a force. You have every right to believe that F equals ma. You have every right to believe that with acceleration there must be a force because men have told you so, and that we have equations that we can use to work that out, and there's a gravitron that is measuring this downward force, even though it doesn't have to be measuring a downward force. It's simply a tool, and it can be measuring a lot of things. Now, what they call a downward force, they can give you that. So we might talk about that a little bit today. Did I already mention thank you to my patrons? I hope so. The good thing about Patreon, again, if you want to head over there and become a patron, that would be awesome. If I ever made enough money over there where I didn't have to work or sell books like I currently do, I've been driving up to San Francisco and Berkeley and all these great cities near me to sell books. We're kind of mortgaging our books, getting rid of them as fast as possible. And that's another video I want to do, just to talk to people about how I did that for, basically 4 years. Kept me afloat, selling books, running an online bookstore, the trials, the tribulations, the heartache that goes along with owning a website like that and trying to make your living doing that. One of the things that happens is you accumulate a mass amount of books, and the way I did it, and you can get them cheap. That's what we did. I went to estate sales. I went to, various auctions, and just was able to get some absolutely killer deals on books. I'd come back, we'd list them, but eventually you get to have so many that you can't possibly list them anymore, and then they're just sitting in your garage, stacking up. They are taking up space. They are becoming overwhelming, and that's kind of what happened to us. And so what I'll do is just, go through them and say I've got a bunch of German books. I'll get together 3 or 4 boxes. They may be worth, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 in value. But I'll drive up, find a bookstore that specializes in that particular kind of books, and I'll auction, sell them for $200-$300 for the boxes. And that allows me to kind of stay afloat. Miss has been working at DoorDash. If you know anything about that, they will deliver fast food to you, or various kinds of food and milkshakes, juices, teas, I don't know, whatever you want. So Miss has been doing that. So we've been able to stay afloat. But with Patreon, the great thing about that is if anything ever happened to my channel, if YouTube decides that my content is dangerous, even though everyone who's ever watched any of my videos knows nothing I do is dangerous. I don't promote hate. I promote love and peace and tranquility and appreciation and acceptance. And I allow people to believe whatever they want. That's the great thing about my channel, is that you can listen to me, you can hate me, you can disagree with me, you can turn me off, you can block me, you can do whatever you want. I don't mind, And as Owen Benjamin said, support what you like or it goes away. And, if YouTube ever scrubbed my channel, if I still had patrons, if I still had money coming in for that, I would continue to make videos. I would continue doing what I'm doing. Those videos would just go directly to my website, and people would be able to find those there. And we would all have all my patrons to thank for that. So, that's the goal there. And if you do want to support that, I would appreciate it. I was talking to Shane and Andrea, who are frequenters to the Flat Earth Conference recently, and they were talking about, well, how much support are you getting from people, and are you able to do this full time? And we just got to talking, and they even were saying, well, man, what if only 3,000 of your 140,000 subscribers gave you $1 a month? Could you do this full time? Like, absolutely. I only have $3,000 in bills, but I also live in California, which I need to get away from if I can, because it's expensive here. I'm paying a ton in rent for the place that we live, but we're very lucky to be here. Oh, I do see some more awesome super chats. Thank you guys so much. Somebody, Broderin, said 5 liter for gasoline for Expedition. Well, thank you very much. And that was donated in NOK, which I'm not sure what that means, but hopefully it's around $50,000. That'd be awesome if that's how much it is in American, but I doubt it. Michael Pomeroy, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Colin Turner, thank you as well. Keep the flag flying, Jaron. Love what you do. Use this money for gas. Thank you very much. I will. I appreciate all the support, and like I said, I'm going to keep doing this. You will see me more often. Of course, I'm working on my movie, and that's a little bit more daunting than I thought. I just want it to be really well polished. I haven't done something like that yet. My videos, there's lots of videos I think are well produced, but they're not as well produced as movies I see. or documentaries I see. And so I'm trying to go that route. It's taken a ton of time of archiving. I'm kind of showing a progression of NASA. I'm showing lots of different speeches by presidents where they talk about going to Mars, going to the moon, and just showing how this is the same rhetoric that's been going for, well, since 1958. And that's what the movie is, NASA going nowhere since 1958. So look for a trailer, probably not for another week or two, and then that will be released sometime between the 50th anniversary, which would be July 16th through July 20th. Maybe I'll release it on the 16th in honor of the great and powerful David Weiss's birthday. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. So anyway, there's no Globebusters today. This is a Globebuster-ish Sunday discussion. It's just you. It's just me. But we do have a special guest coming on in about, 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to give a call to Ranty Flat Earth. He's got a couple things to talk about. We're going to be looking at some of his footage, which I'm excited about. If you haven't seen it yet, there is a QED presentation that he did recently on the Nathan Oakley channel, and I thought it was excellent. It's just more evidence, more proof of exactly the problem with the curvature calculators. Oh, and let's talk about the title of this video, which I think is hilarious. It's the Globebuster-ish Sunday discussion, not accurate for observations over water close to the horizon. Why is the screen, are you guys seeing a distortion in my screen like I'm seeing? That is ugly. Wow, that is bad. Hey, Mike Lawrence, thank you so much. Thanks for keeping it flat. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not sure why that looks so bad, but it looks awful. Let me try and transition it again, see if it's any better. It's really bad. I don't know why it looks so bad. Let's go back to this screen. I just want to see, what do I have going across? KBS is 4306. That's pretty good. Let me just see why you're getting such a distorted view. Try and flip the screen here and see what it looks like, but I've got to wait for the delay. Anyway, no Globebusters today. Let's hope it comes back soon. Let's hope Bob returns. Eru will be back soon. As far as John, John's got some personal issues that he's got to deal with right now. So I'm going to hope that things go well for him and wish nothing but the best for him. Wow, that's really distorted as well. Is my voice bad? It's really weird. I don't know why that screen is so garbage. Wow, that looks terrible. How's the voice coming through? No, Globebusters is able to live stream. It's just, Bob just wrote me one. Hey, jeranism. I love you, man, and will always be a dear friend and my favorite flat earther of all time. I'm sure we will resume our shows together soon. I love you too, Bob. I hope that is the case, that we can get back to the shows. But as I said, Bob's currently, I think, trying to sell his house, and good luck to Bob on that. So, when you have personal life issues and things that come up, that is a problem. Oh, it's all good out there? Dilly Gill, one of the best channels. Everyone, see the Dilly Gill there with the wrench? Please click on his channel, subscribe. He's got some of the best ISS debunking nonsense. Thank you, Karen B. Sound is kind of low. I'm going to up this a little bit, see if this helps. Hold on 1 second. And this. Testing, 1, 2. I don't want to touch this, but we're going to increase it a little bit. Test. All right, that might be a little bit more sound, hopefully. Still looks low to me too. What is going on with my sound issues? But my mixer is working, which I'm excited about. For a while I was getting a heavy distortion, a heavy crackling, and I want to say thanks to Jason Lindgren. By the way, if you guys haven't heard last Monday's TFR show, check that out. It was Crow and Jason Lindgren from crow777radio.com. That was last Monday's show. You can still check that out. It's still free as of today. Tomorrow it goes into the archive. You won't be able to see it anymore. I believe it's also on Karen B's channel, so check that out if you want. That was last Monday, and we will be having a show tomorrow too. So if you're not checking that out, that's the weekly show I do right now with David Weiss. Missa joins us occasionally. That is Mondays from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific on tfrlive.com. And I also will be simulcasting the first hour on my Jeranism Raw channel. So if you're not a subscriber over there, what is wrong with you? I can't imagine what's going on in your world. That, by the way, I'm trying to fix my sound here. Hold on. Let's try this a little bit. Test. I don't know. It's not picking up very well. Anyway, it is what it is. We're going to deal with it. We're going to leave it. You'll just have to listen more carefully, and I'll just whisper. No, I won't whisper. Anyway, all right. So I wanted to say thank you to Jason, though. By the way, Jason is the one who told me. I told him I'm having some crackling in my mixer, and I was disappointed that I would have to probably be buying another one. And he told me to buy, what is this product? Let me reach over and grab it. So for anybody who's got any audio equipment like a mixer, like I do, Deoxit D5, some sort of spray. Removes oxidation, improves connections, seals, and protects surfaces. Sprayed this out, and the crackling magically is gone. This can cost me $8, which is much better than the price I was thinking I was going to have to pay for a new mixer. And I have Jason to thank for that. Jason Lindgren is an audio engineer. And thank you, Jason, if you're listening. And thank you, Crow, for doing the show. And also, we did a show with Jason and Crow last Thursday on my channel. I think that's my most recent video. I'm not sure. You can go back in time and check that out if you want. Dark News Network says, perhaps fill in the Globebuster alt ranks a bit new faces. Yeah, well, we're just going to be doing it differently. I'm going to be doing it on my channel. We'll be having a discussion like this. It'll be kind of like Globebusters. That's why I call this Globebuster-ish. Let's pull that up just so we know what we're talking about here. Yeah, there we go. Sunday, Globebusters Live. Yeah, and we'll just be discussing, as we always do, things that are my opinion. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree. I've talked before about the Jessica Biel versus Jessica Alba, and that may be getting really old for some people. I don't think it gets old because it kind of tells you just that it's okay to disagree on things. It's okay if we don't all agree on certain issues or certain aspects of Flat Earth. It's what allows us to grow closer to the truth. And one of the things that I think helps me the most is channels like Ranty Flat Earth, who we're going to be talking to in about 5 minutes. He's got a great idea for something he's going to be transitioning his channel to, which I think is absolutely brilliant. It's kind of what I think should be going on in this community, and I'm excited about it. So he's going to tell you his idea, what he's going to be doing with his channel. I think it's brilliant. We're going to be discussing that here shortly. I also want to, let's see what else we got here. Panoramic Investigations. I love that channel name. Great. Thank you very much for that. Jen, 8208. You're my YouTube rock. Bob, too. Thanks for always being here for us, Jaron. Hey, I appreciate that, Jen. But like I said, don't be upset that Globebusters won't be here. I will be here on my channel every Sunday at noon doing this. And we've taken a couple weeks off. Like I said, I've had my son home, so I've been spending a lot of time with him. He flies out on the 28th. Checking my calendar to make sure I have my dates right. Yeah, he flies out on the 28th back to Delaware, where he will certainly get a job this time, I pray. Please, God, let him get a job. Get a job. Make money. Do something. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But he's here. He's in the other room playing video games, which is fun, I guess, for him. Anyway, 28th he flies out, and so I'll have a lot more time. I'll be working on my movie. Be doing the Globebuster shows on Sundays. Still doing the Monday Night Raw show on Mondays, and still making videos. As I said, I put a lot of time into my movie coming out, the trailer coming out soon. So definitely check that out. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. All right, let's call Ranty. Like I said, he's got a presentation, not a presentation. He's just going to show us a few things. I also think he's going to double back and show us something that he discussed on my channel recently, just because I think it's so important. And then from that, once we let Ranty go, I'm going to show you a few videos from the Salton Sea. I haven't put them together yet. Like I said, that all happened right before my son came, and I've just been spending some time with him and haven't been spending a lot of time like I should on putting together those videos and showing everybody what we did at the Salton Sea. Of course, we saw across 13 miles. We saw mirror flashes. But I'll be able to show you, at least today, I'll show you two videos basically showing you day 1 and day 2 and just showing you the massive difference in the inferior mirage and how the person flashing the mirror on day 2 was just stuck behind that inferior mirage. If you were a glober, you would go there, you would see that, and you would walk away and say, it's a globe, period. You don't investigate further because you've been told it's a globe. It's an easy way out. And, David Weiss has said it best before. If I told you I was a doctor, you could either believe me, which is very easy. Then you could go watch football. You could go play video games. You can do all the things that you want to do. And you don't have to investigate further. Or you can actually say, wow, is Jaron really a doctor? You can investigate that, do some research, and find out that no. In fact, I'm not a doctor unless they allow doctors who have only gone to college for about 2 weeks, which would be my case. But no, I believe doctors have a higher education than I do. 1 second, get a drink here. All right, so let's, let me say thank you, by the way, to Joe Pizzuti, a.k.a. Joe Mama, who sent me a book Thank you very much. The Apollo Moon Missions, Hiding a Hoax in Plain Sight, Part 1, First Edition, by Randy Walsh. Randy Walsh is not a flat earther, but he's done a great book, and it's step one in becoming a flat earther is realizing the hoax that is the Apollo missions. And so once you realize that, then you start asking the questions of why would they lie to us? Why would they perpetuate this story? Then you realize how important it is for them to keep it up, that they can never let people know that was not real, come hell or high water. They've got to make you believe that. You have to be able to look up in the sky as a child, see the moon, and think, oh, people have been there. People have stood sideways on that sphere, and people can live on spheres. People can go to the moon. Craft can fly in space. You have to believe all those things, and so they can't take that away. And, recently I was just listening to movie after movie and show after show where they refer to the globe, around the globe. Just imagine if the truth were ever to come out. I mean, it basically can't. Because of all the backstepping they'd have to do, imagine how humiliated science would be once it was, admitted that they've been perpetrating a hoax, for a long, long time. I don't know if you want to call it a hoax. I don't know if they just got it wrong. Who knows? That's the motive is not really important. The lie is what's important. And so, anyway, we're going to call Ranty right now and see if he's there. Let's give him a ring and see if he is available. I have to click that. That's extremely loud in my ear. Miserable.
Hello.
Ranty, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Oh, it's all good. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining me. I'm going to turn down your volume a little bit. You're a little hot, but that's my fault. Okay, I think that's good. So anyway, everybody, this is Ranty Flat Earth. Ranty, tell everybody real quick. I'm sure they know who you are, but where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Okay, dead easy. Ranty Flat Earth. That's RANTY. Flat Earth. 3 separate words. I'm on YouTube. I have a Facebook account with Shane Ranty Cook. So if you want to find me on there, you can find me through that. I have a Twitter. Again, Ranty Flat Earth. Email ranty@rantyflatearth.com.
Perfect. Yep, and I've got a little graphic on the screen so everybody can see your email address, which will be important later when you talk about some of the changes you're going to be making in your channel, and your YouTube address, so everybody should subscribe there. Ranty, I saw you've been doing great work because I went to your... Actually, I'll show everybody. Here, let me do this. I've got this little thing. I don't know if everyone has it, but it's called TubeBuddy. I don't know if you use that or if you've ever heard of it. But on TubeBuddy, it actually compares your channel with other people's channels. So I went to your channel today. Let me bring this over so everyone can see. And you'll see Ranty's at 3,482 subscribers. I think he just got one. Looks like. Oh, we got another. So thank you, everybody, for subscribing. But if you'll notice there, if you look carefully on the right-hand side, it says you and them over here. So it says you. In the last 30 days, I've had 253 subscribers. In the last 30 days, you've had 594. So you're doubling me up easily. But I do notice that you had a massive 278 subscribers on May 30th, and I dare say that was our show. So
that would be quite correct.
So I'm actually doing damage to my channel, but no, that's not what I consider that at all. I love promoting other people that are doing great work, and you're going to be talking. You want to start with that, or what do you want to start with today?
Right. Okay. So I think I'll save that for a little bit because you got in touch with me originally to talk about the QED presentation that I did on Nathan Oakley's Flat Earth debates.
Correct.
So I'd like to go through that first, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get to the juicy stuff that's coming next.
Sounds good. Yeah. Go ahead and share your screen, and I'll make sure you're lined up here.
Okay. 1 second. There we go. Let me know when I am presenting, and I'll get something ready to play.
You are presenting. I don't know now. It's not squared up like it was earlier, but that always happens with me. Go ahead. I'm going to try and spin it a little bit this way. Wait, what's going on here? This one. All right, go ahead. So you're sharing Google Earth, right?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if you've been following my journey on flat Earth, you'll realise that I do have quite a lot of data collected in and around this location. And typically last year, what I was doing was going down and measuring the steps, measuring the heights, taking physical measurements above actual sea level, etc. And this was for my own research, my own personal research. A lot of these videos didn't get released. Some of them, you know, I must have hundreds and hundreds that have never been seen the light of day. And I just happened to be looking through a particular day's research, and I noticed an observation that I'd taken from this exact location here. Let me take you off screen. So, from this exact location here, down on these steps, it was at high tide, and I was doing some measurements with a tape measure, and I was looking across over the high tide, all over this water, and we're looking across this water to a lighthouse that is here, some 13.2 miles away. And then what we have is we have this sand dune that runs around this entire stretch. It's like in an L shape. Can you see as it goes around? And line of sight over this sand dune takes me into Barrow. So these are the buildings of Barrow, and they are some 18 miles away from this exact location where I took the image from. So to the lighthouse is 13.2 miles away, and to the buildings of Barrow beyond this sand dune, bearing in mind, which is approximately 30 to 35 feet in height, I would estimate. Google Earth said it's about 9 meters, so we'll go with that. And yeah, we're looking at these buildings behind 18 miles away. So let's get into the meat and bones of this, because there was 2 videos that I did. The first one's just for 2.5 minutes, and the second one's about 4. I might cut the second one slightly short, simply because I've already presented it and it is still the same location, and basically the second half of the video is showing you the exact location. So let's just get into this for now.
As you can see, I'm right by the water side. I have my camera set on a tripod right now. I have a tape measure, so we should be able to get an accurate above sea level at this time. So let's measure it from this lower step and let's get a reading. Two foot two. 2 foot 2. Great. So now we know the height above sea level. The water is coming in at approximately 2 inches every minute or so, judging by my last video. So by the end of this video, the height above sea level will probably be around 2 feet or just beneath. Well, what do you know? Hello, Barrow Infernus. Nice to meet you. Hello, Barrow Town Hall. Nice to see you again. Hello, Lighthouse. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause it there for a minute, because a lot of people will automatically say we're not seeing the bottom of these buildings in the distance. And I completely agree. We aren't seeing the bottom of these buildings, but what you have to appreciate is the very, very low viewing angle, how close I am to the water, and the swell and the waves that's happening in this location. It's something that I've been researching recently, including shoaling. Now, the tide was moving in at this time. It was coming in at about 2 inches in height, getting 2 inches in height every minute or so, which shows the speed of the tide in this particular location. And that shoaling effect does actually cause vertical lift of the water in the narrow, the shallows. So the water slows down as it enters into the shallow region. The water's still pushing in behind, and it climbs over the water in front, artificially increasing the height of the water. So it's something that the research that I've been looking into, it explains quite a lot. That can be accounted for. So I'm not particularly interested in that particular part of this, because it can be explained. However, the important thing that, and I noticed you, Jerry, you wanted to pick up on this too, is these 2 buildings here. So we've got Barrow Town Hall, which is over here with a little clock face on, and here we have Walney Lighthouse. Now, this is important because that doesn't look like Walney Lighthouse, and that really doesn't look Barrow Town Hall. You're only seeing a smidgen of each. So let me just carry on playing the video.
Sure.
You're going to flash for us, or are you just going to be sitting there? Anyway, if we believe the curve calculator and you live on a sphere, all this is being loomed up from beyond the curvature of the Earth. It isn't really there. It is a figment of your imagination.
Now, the reason I say that is because that is essentially the case. These buildings are so small at the distances that I am filming them from that we shouldn't see them. So regardless of whether the Globers would claim, we're not seeing the bottom of these, which I've already explained can be easily accounted for this shoaling and swell, we've also got the fact that we're seeing the buildings in the first place. They should not be seen. It's as simple as that.
The curvature of the Earth, it isn't really there. It is a figment of your imagination. So from an elevation of 2 feet above actual sea level, my location, there's the works that are going on just at Anchor's Home Slipway.
So I'm just going to pause it there again. So obviously there we've got Anchor's Home, there we've got the circular part of the seawall that comes out. We've got the first set of steps, and I'm on the actual second set of the steps, which I'm just going to show you now as I rule through. So there we go, bottom of the steps. So I'm very careful to show everything in the video. So it's location, height above sea level, distances involved, and as you can see, there's a circular wall. There's the first set of steps, which is here, and there's the second set of steps, which is there. So if we go and we click on these 2 lines of sight, so let's move in and we look at Walney Lighthouse, for instance. I've already said it's 13.2 miles, but let's just click that and show the properties of that. So if we go to the measurements, we do have, as you can see, 13.2 miles. And seeing as I'm here anyway, I might as well click this one, which, hang on, why is it not doing it? There we go. No, which one is it? Must be that one. Show the properties on that and the measurement. Oh, that's not it. Right, hang on. Let me just draw another line in because Google Earth is obviously playing up right now.
No problem.
Yeah, it happens. You know what it's like.
Oh yeah.
My internet went off twice after I spoke to you and earlier, and it hasn't gone off in weeks, and it literally went off twice. So we're going to put a line of sight into this building over here, which is some 18 miles away, 18.1 miles away, but we'll say 18 miles just for clarity's sake, because everyone can see that. So we've got the measurements involved. Now we're going to play video 2, which won't be quite as long, because I won't do it as long as this. So that's the film. So let's go to video 2. So very quickly, same location.
So I have my camera set up to 32 inches. 32 inches. Just make sure that I got that on camera. My tripod set up to 32 inches, there or thereabouts, 30 inches perhaps. Each of the steps that it's on is 6 inches. I'll show you that in a moment. And we are 4 steps above that. 24, 34, 44, 52.
By the way, my calculations when I'm working this out on the hop is terrible. It's actually 56 inches, not 52.
2 inches or thereabouts above actual sea level at this time. I'll show you all that at the end of the video. Distance to target, 18 miles. And let's have a look at Barrow in Furnace. Well, the first thing in view is Walney Lighthouse, which is a little over 13 miles away. Then we have the main buildings of Barrow. Sorry, the main town hall, etc. Then we come across to complete flatness of Barrow, essentially.
Okay, so literally, I think I'm just going to stop it there. I might just show you me measuring the actual step on camera. So here you'll see me.
2 steps.
getting the tape measure out and measuring the actual step. Where are we? So there's me measuring the tripod. Here's me measuring the step itself.
Each step is...
So we can be quite sure exactly of my height above actual sea level. So that's the point of the two videos. And Jaron, I know you want to get into this, so let's show you what's what. Let's see, be this one here. So first image that we've got is the two comparisons between what we're seeing of the lighthouse. The small image over here is what we're seeing representative from 2.3 feet, and this from 4.6 feet. Now, as you can see, we're seeing an awful lot more at a slightly higher elevation. So just over 2 feet in elevation has opened up the majority of this lighthouse. Now, if you want to see what this lighthouse looks like, I do have a video ready to play just a few seconds of. I've already had permission by the guy to use this. Are you happy for me to play that video?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So this is South Walney. The gentleman in question is called CFAX. I'm subscribed to him. I've already told him about this particular observation in the past. And this is Walney Lighthouse. Now, you'll notice that there's a sandbank in the foreground behind this lighthouse. And at any point, at any given point, doesn't matter how high you go, you can only ever see the two chimney pots of this house. This house is always hidden from my line of sight because this hill is higher in my wake, so I can never see the house. I can always just see the chimney pot. So we're going to focus on the lighthouse itself, and you're just going to get an impression of just how big this actual lighthouse is. The focal height is 69 feet, and as you can see, the stem of it is essentially, if we pause it right here, at least the height of the house. So above the chimney pots, we've got at least the height of a house, which is essentially, let's say, 30 feet. Let's say that, just for argument's sake, we'll give it a random 30 feet. Now, how does that compare when we want to check it to the curvature calcs? Well, if we go to 13.2 miles, and this is the important part, and we put a 2.33 feet observation height in, 71 feet or thereabouts should be hidden. So if I then increase my observation height to 4.66 feet, 61 feet will be hidden. So the difference between the two is 10 feet. 71 feet, 61 feet. So by increasing my elevation, it's saying that I should see 10 feet more. Well, as you can see with the image that I've shown, just on this one here, clearly more than 10 feet has been exposed, including the fact that this has actually got an inferior mirage on it, this smaller image. It's a very clear inferior mirage. The next point I want to go to is, not that, is this image here. So this is the buildings of Barrow. So we've got Barrow Town Hall. This is from the low elevation, and the lower image is from the from the higher elevation. And what you can see here is that the rest of the buildings underneath Barrow Town Hall have all been exposed. So this is a medical centre. This is a block of flats, I believe, and offices. We've got some houses underneath. This is a massive church kind of thing, steeple with a big building underneath it. It's called Barrow Town Hall. People can check that out. I think it's around about 130 feet high, so I believe. Now, look how much has been exposed by just increasing my elevation by 2 feet. So let's see how that confirms to the curve calc. So again, I've got these details ready to show you. So we have 18 miles, 2.33 feet, and 145 feet should be hidden, including refraction. So let's say 146, just to round it up. And when we go to 4.66, we're looking at 131, right? So essentially that's saying that we've revealed 15 feet. There's 15 feet difference. But if you look at the images, does that look like 15 feet has been revealed?
Not at all.
No, I absolutely, completely agree. 15 feet certainly hasn't been revealed. It seems more to me in the region of at least 60 feet has been revealed just by this simple demonstration of increasing my elevation through measurements and distances, and it's all caught on video. Anyone can check this out, and this is what the result is. The result is that all this has been opened up, and Mick West was very clever recently when we started talking about shoaling and swell and measuring your observer height at the shoreline. So going back to the video, when I'm actually doing these measurements, see, back then I didn't know this, right? But back then, when I'm doing this measurement at the shoreline and I'm getting the tape measure out, what I'm not doing is I'm not factoring in the swell and the shoaling and the waves. I'm not doing that. I'm just putting my tape measure next to the water at the shoreline. If I was to account for the swell and the shoaling and the tide pushing in and the waves and all that kind of stuff, in some locations, for instance, in Rottnest Island, where Wolfie 6020 does his observations, there's always a 2 or 3 meter swell, 2 or 3 meters, which means the amplitude of that is between 1 meter and 1.5 meter above where his feet are at the shoreline.
Above.
So where I am, yes, above. So where I am right now at the shoreline, right here, I'm calculating it above this location here. But as you go out across the ocean starts to get bigger and taller due to the swell and the waves. And that is causing a physical obstruction. It's called amplitude of a wave. Anybody can check this out. You can always check these swell reports out on Google. I might actually do that now. I might just check Rottnest Island's swell report right now, so just bear with me.
Sure. Do you also have an image for shoaling so that people have an idea of what you're talking about? I think you drew one. Or
I will have some. Yeah, let me see if I can just bring that up. Right. So if I go to Willy Weather, Rottnest Island swell forecast, and we look at this. So this is for the data for right now. So this is the swell height. So right now, if I hover over this, we have. Let's see what have we got. It's not highlighting it. Let me get some of this highlighting. So it says 3.3 meter there. So
wow.
3.3 meter rough swell. Now there's the trough and there's the peak of the wave. So there's literally, if you look at this, actually this is pretty good demonstration here. It's like a wave itself. So the top part is the peak. Then you've got the trough, and at the shoreline, this would be you at the shoreline, literally in the middle. So you have to half the height of the swell to take it off your observer height. So literally, if you had your camera set to 1 meter at the shoreline and you're looking over a 3.3 meter rough swell, you're essentially below sea level because the waves out to sea will be higher than you. So you have to be looking over them, and they will cause a physical obstruction.
Right, and quite a big one in this case.
What's
that,
I mean,
what's that
no
peak
human.
At? What's the peak at there? What's that?
5.6 meters. Yeah.
Jeez. 15 feet.
More than that.
Yeah.
More like 18 and a half, 19 feet.
Right.
So, I mean, you've got to account for this. So things can disappear at the bottom up by a physical obstruction. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that the deck is always moving. The water is always moving. It's very rare that you get an absolute still calm of everything. Very, 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 very rare. So we've got to account for this. The Globers need us to have a flat surface. The fact is, once you realise that it isn't flat and you've got to account for these little variations of swell and waves and stuff like this, shoaling's a very good thing as well, actually. Shoaling's awesome. You need to understand that these will cause physical blockages, and you need to account for that by removing it from your observer height. So back when I was doing this, doing these observations and putting all these calculations in, essentially they meant nothing. They're just for representative purposes, because I didn't know and still won't be able to find out what the swell report was on this day, how fast the water was moving in. Just the fact that we know that we still need to account for this. Every centimetre we're removing off of these due to this swell and the waves. Every centimetre is a nail in the coffin to the Globers. Every single one.
Right. People I don't think they get that. When you're looking out and seeing 3 to 4 miles of water, you're seeing several waves in that stretch with amplitude much higher than your observer height.
Exactly. And the thing is, the swell report that I just showed you that says 5.6 meters, 1 in 7 of those swells will be higher than the given maximum. So if it says 5.6 meters, it's basically for boats. So this analysis is for boats. So when you're on the water and you know what the swell report is, you can expect, say, 18 feet waves, right? Okay, or swells. You can expect to go out in those conditions, so you prepare for that. But you also know that 1 in 7 of this swell will be higher than the one given. So prepare for a 20-foot swell, as opposed to a 19-foot swell. So you just got to prepare for that. But as an observational point of view, you're looking, and you can see it in this image here, we're looking over hundreds of different little waves, right? That might not sound a lot, but also with swell are obviously longer wave durations, but you're also looking across hundreds, if not thousands, of these swells as well as the waves. So you have to account for the highest possible amount because you're doing it as an observation. You're not doing it as on a boat. So you're looking over the highest part at all points. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. No, I think it's good if people understood what's happening with shoaling too, because it makes so much sense. And
let's see if I can bring that up. So wave shoaling. Let's see if I can get that up. Let's just have a look. See, looking for some kind. Yes, just this will do. This will do. So you're at the shoreline, down here. You're looking out. Can you see how the waves are getting higher? And it says wave height. So you've got the ocean floor, wavelength. Obviously, this is saying tsunami waves, but this is cross-section of tsunami. But it's exactly the same. It doesn't make a difference. It's just this image that I've picked up. It's exactly the same. The waves break at the shoreline. The shoaling, and this is the swell. You know, the big waves of the swell, and the little waves that you see, the wind-driven waves, are little bits of waves that will be on top of these humps, these big areas of swell. So at the shoreline, you might expect the swell to reach your feet probably every 20 seconds, but you might get smaller waves that lap up every 3 or 4 seconds. Now they're the wind-driven waves, and the big waves that splashes up, splosh. So you got splish, 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 splosh. The splosh is from the swell, and the splishes are from the little waves, the wind-driven waves. So it's the best way I can kind of explain it. But the amplitude will always be higher than your feet at the shore. Let's see if I can find a better example where you can actually see that.
Maybe that picture right there. Yeah, that one on the left that you just highlighted.
This one?
Yeah, I think it's just good to show people that if you're standing over there on the right, that you're going to have every wave. And granted, there might be a peak where it's below, but when you're talking about looking across the water, all you have to deal with, or what you have to deal with, is all the times that the water is higher than the sea level, which when you're looking across, and we did a great presentation with Life is Short Travis, where he was showing that when you're looking out across a distance, let's say it's as far as the lighthouse there, 13 miles, or even further if you're looking at Barrow and Furnace, when you're looking across that distance, that you're really only seeing the first 3 miles or so of water. But now if you look at 3 miles and you picture all the times that the waves are higher, that's what you have to essentially see over.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. I love Life is Short. His videos are excellent. If everybody heads on over there and subscribes to him, because he does some really fantastic stuff.
The picture that's straight.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say the picture that's straight above, that's got like a purple and black too, right above you. Yeah, I mean that's just another good one, but it doesn't really show too that when that water comes in and hits that shoreline, that there's such a steep upgrade there that it's going to push the water up. And when we look out into the distances, you're going to have to see over that.
Well, if you imagine it's like a ramp, so quite often you'll see that there's quite deep areas of the ocean, not far off shoreline. You can go to places like Hawaii, and just a couple of miles out, the ocean floor drops down thousands of meters within just a couple of miles. So the drop-off from where you're on this island of Hawaii, and you go out 2 miles, the drop-off is almost just like this image up here, so just like this purple one where it's just straight down. But what you'll notice is in this shoaling process, it gives you obviously this shoaling zone. So it's always on the flatter areas after the steep drop-off. So once you've gone from the steep drop-off and into the shallows, you then get this shoaling zone. So up here on this purple image, for instance, obviously you can't really see that, but can you see the GIF is kind of increasing the wave height just on the shallows here?
Right.
So the waves are pushing in, it's slowing down, but as it's hitting this ramp, slowing down. So the water at the bottom is slowing down, and it's forcing the water that's pushing in behind it higher and higher and higher. And eventually, when it gets into the shallows up here, the wave height is much higher. Now, that will be a physical, blockage to what you're trying to view from the shoreline.
Absolutely.
And if you appreciate that when you do these observations in Hawaii, in New Zealand, in Australia, where they've got these massive drop-offs like this, massive drop-offs. This is why I assume that a lot of these people that live in these locations never really see very far, and they're the most dogmatic about the shape of the Earth being round, because they don't. There's probably been a sphere because they don't get observations like this, and it's because of the nature of the terrain that they're trying to film across.
Right.
You know, they've always got these massive shoaling effects. That's why they have great surfs over there. Everyone's surfing, you know, because they're getting these waves, and these waves are blockages. You know, a 6 foot human at the shoreline won't be able to see more than 10 miles away because of this effect.
Right.
Unless it's an absolute still, which is very rare for these locations. But this is understanding your terrain and the topography of the land underneath is essential when you're doing these observations.
Now,
but back to the point in question. Sorry, I didn't. Did you want to say something there, Jerry?
well, I was just going to say your observation location there. I noticed that the waves are quite small.
Yeah.
You know, what is the reason for that? Do you want to show that? Because I know it's much different than what you see when you go to the Monterey Bay, where I've tried to take footage because of the drop-off that happens at the Monterey Bay.
Yeah, sure. So if you look at Google Earth, it's very easy to actually see what sort of what to expect with the ocean floor just by the colour of the water that Google Earth quite aptly puts out. So you can see it's a very light blue colour. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, way down here, I don't know if people are going to see that, but as I go across this area here, it's holding constant between 40 meters depth and 30 meters depth. You know, there's not a huge change in this location, so it's relatively. What it's saying is that the floor underneath is relatively flat.
Right.
However, when you come to these darker regions, see this darker region here, and you've got these jaggedy edges. It's very great. Google Earth is great for showing you this stuff. So you've got some relatively levelish kind of light coloured blue, and then it drops off.
Right.
It literally goes whoosh. I mean, right now we're at 5,000 meters below, so almost 3 miles depth here, right? And yet you just travel. So from 3 miles depth here to just there, it goes down to about half a mile. So over that transitional distance of 76 miles, it's gone from 3 miles depth to half a mile depth. Now, if you're trying to look across this ridge, which is quite nice and prominent here, what you'll see is this will be the area where the shoaling is going to take effect.
Right.
So it will be pushing the water up because it can't go anywhere else. It has to go up. You've got the tide pushing in.
Right.
You've got resistance from the shoreline, which is causing this shoaling. The water is pushed up vertically, and it will cause blockage. Obviously, this is a long way from shore, but if we go to Hawaii,
we'll go to the Monterey Bay. Go to the Monterey Bay where I do observations, and you can show that the big difference there with the drop off. And
okay, yeah, sure. I'll do that. I'll do that in one sec. The only reason I wanted to do this Hawaii was because I saw that somebody had tagged me in a video saying that they'd done some observations in Hawaii, and you know, obviously these were going to prove the globe Earth. Well, we'll put that to the test.
Wow.
What we've got here is, can you see? I mean, it's all dark, really dark. When I say it drops off, I mean it drops off. So from the shoreline here, so we're 4 meters there. Let's go out 4 miles. It's already at a mile depth. It's a mile deep at 4 miles from the shore.
Right.
So between the shoreline and here, it's going to push up. It's going to shoal. It's going to be. I mean, over on this side, it's just as bad. I mean, this is. Wow, look at this. It's all around this entire island is the same. There's no real flat areas, you know. And anyway, so where's your Monterey Bay? Did you say?
Yeah, you can just go to Monterey Bay. It's basically not quite the same because we have a little bit of a distance, but then there's some huge drops. And as people know, I think it's important to point out too that you can't compress the water. So as you said, it has no direction to go but up. That's absolutely fact. So you'll see there that there's those ridges there, and it just drops off. So when you're trying to look across that distance, which is what we try and do, looking Santa Cruz to basically peak to peak there, if you're looking across the entire bay, but all that water that comes in creates that shoaling effect.
Yeah, it's like a dishwasher. Imagine it's like a dishwasher, so it's relatively calm in this area, but when the deep areas here, it's like a dishwasher. It's churning everything up. The water's being forced up. It's going to cause a physical blockage. It's just what happens. You've got 600-700 meter depth there, and then right next to it, it drops down to 150. You know, so you've got these really deep crevasses that the water's being funneled through, and then it pops up. It pops up near the shallows because it's being forced in, and it has to go up. So in these locations, it will be forcing the water vertical. And you know, it only has to, even let's just say a few meters in shoaling, but it's very well known in you know, with people that go out on boats about this shoaling effect, and they try to avoid it at all costs because it can cause an awful lot of problems with boats, you know, small boats especially, when you've got this shoaling effect. So they have to know, you know, where all these geographical locations are so that they can avoid them, and they have to do it at certain times, etc., like that. So it's weird that when I started talking about this, I was getting a lot of emails from people, you know, basically agreeing with me, you know, boating, you know, small boat captains and things like this that were saying that, yeah, you do have to account for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got rid of that. So the last thing I wanted to show you was the same location. We've got that one. I'll put some little dots in there. Now here we go. This is great. This is perhaps my most famous image. And what I'm going to do is where's that one gone then? Did it not save it? Yeah. Never mind. Right. Okay. So what we have here is this top image was taken from 1 foot in elevation. This top one, and the same image at the bottom was taken from an elevation of 35 feet. So 1 foot elevation, 35 feet. Now, from the 1 foot elevation, let's just be quite clear. None of this should have been seen. The distance was 18 miles away. And the distance for this bottom image was 18.36 miles away, so just a third of a mile further away, but obviously higher up because I was able to get on the seawall. But off the sands, looking across at Barrow in Furness, this entire region was lit up like just lit up. The sand dune that I showed you before that runs in a direct line of sight between these buildings is evidenced. Obviously you can see it here in this image running through on the bottom one, but then you can also see it on the top image from 1 foot. And all these buildings shouldn't be seen. You shouldn't see any of this. None of this should have been visible. We even see a little stone that's on the shoreline. Can you see this little stone down here from the high elevation? It's a big rock or whatever. You actually see it there from the 1 foot elevation. Right? Absolutely incredible, shore to shore, no inferior mirage, which is really, really important because I know you want to talk about inferior mirages and the effect that they have. So if you want, I can play that video. Let me know.
Yeah, sure. Let's see it.
Okie dokie. So 2 days compared. Do you want the music on, or shall I just talk you through it?
Yeah, just talk through it.
Okay, great. So this is those same buildings. So those same buildings, let me just pause it there for a second. So can you see this massive inferior mirage? There's a mirror image underneath these buildings of the buildings above, and you can see it very clearly here. There's a split there, and if we follow through on the video, oh, hang on, there we go, the lighthouse. That would be a really good one to show you. There, look at that. You can see an absolute mirror image underneath where it's starting to be pulled down. There we've got the two chimneys that I always say you can never see beyond. So right there is the bottom base of the lighthouse. There's the two chimneys, and that would have been where the sand dune would have been in the way. But I can't see anything. There's a massive inferior mirage going on. I'm in exactly the same location. So let's just take a look at this over here. Right. So pause that. So look at this image here. See the inferior mirage running underneath, and then let's go back to that image that I had just up there. So this was the control image. This is the building over here without an inferior mirage. You just see it. It's there. There's nothing too fancy about it. It's definitely not being repeated underneath it, but there's an inferior mirage going on. I can actually show you that building if you want on Google Earth. Do you want to see that?
Sure.
Let's see if I can pop you in there, and you'll just get an idea of what this building looks like from 18 miles away, bearing in mind. In fact, it's 18.3 from the wall that I filmed from. So here's the building. is this medical centre. I'm just going to stick myself on there, you can see. So here's this Bupa dental care home. There's the clock tower. There's the building underneath it. There's this medical centre, and there we go. This is what it looks like. Obviously, direct line of sight. This lower portion of the building is blocked off by the sandbank that's much nearer and about 40 feet in height, 35 feet in height. And obviously, direct line of sight would block off the bottom of the building, so you can only ever see the top part. Yeah. But you shouldn't see it on a globe. Let's be quite clear. You shouldn't see it on a globe. So going back to the video. So here we have an observation with an inferior mirage. You're not seeing the bottom of the sand dune. Everything seems to be hidden as we scan through. Let's go through here a tad. That was with the inferior mirage. I'll show you my exact location. Ooh, sorry, Jaren. I know I'm speeding up here a bit. BLO 97 anchors home. So let's go to the next video. Now I think I might just let this play. Oh no, this is me zooming back in because I wanted to just say, I think I said, oh actually I need to film this part because I filmed it from this location before, and this will become important as well because it looks like floating land. So I'm just going to play the video so you can see this floating land. It's not a floating land, it's just the top of the hill with an inferior mirage underneath it and the sky repeating underneath that, giving this optical effect. In fact, if there was anything at the bottom of the hill that you did have direct line of sight at, you wouldn't see that because it would be behind this inferior mirage. Let's go to the without the inferior mirage, and we'll just play it from here, Jevon. Look at that.
Wow.
Inferior mirage, no inferior mirage, same location, same height, exact same height of the tide. There was no difference on anything in any of these two observations. They're both same height, same distance, same location on the railings. Everything was the same, just everything was identical. But you've got inferior mirage, no inferior mirage. This is a truck that's on the shoreline. Now, if that truck was here on this inferior mirage day, it was down here. Where is it? We can't see it, John, because it's behind this inferior mirage.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a mirror image of it above. If I put a line through that, which I think I actually do, at some point, hopefully, maybe it's on a different video, but yeah, you should. It's just an inferior mirage. This is without an inferior mirage, Joe, and it's just a clear day. Now I know when you did you went back. Was it Salton Sea? You went back to?
Correct.
And yeah, I mean, you saw this kind of effect. Beautiful, clear weather. You got some footage, I know. And then the next day, you had this inferior mirage. And you'll see in a moment. I do a few comparisons between these buildings. You'll see from with an inferior mirage and without an inferior mirage. Let me just speed it up so we get to a point that actually shows that. Might be on the lighthouse, actually. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. So there's the two chimney pots. There's the distortion with the inferior mirage, because what's ever going on, it's causing some kind of distortion. You're not getting a very clear image. But there's the two chimney pots which are visible here.
Right.
And you can start to see the two chimney pots repeated underneath. And you definitely see the lighthouse, miraging in this position here. So again, if you was stood on the sands over here,
so
you'll be behind this.
Keep that image up. Let's talk about it for a second, because I want to get your opinion on something. So if somebody were to flash you sun reflections from that shore, and you're saying that the bottom video that we're looking at there is from what height?
The bottom, right, so the elevation above sea level
they're both the same.
now, yeah, same height and approximately 50 feet above sea level. The distance was, again, about 13.3 miles away, so there shouldn't have really been any kind of issues with any curvature or anything like that.
Right.
We just, and from my location, looking over relatively flat area of body of water, I'm always seeing this. This is low. I've actually been to this place many a time. I've driven around to Barrow and Furness, so I know the location. And essentially that is where the water comes up to. The water actually comes up to right here. That's where the water actually fills up to. So you can tell it's just at low tide, which it was at low tide. And you can see that, the sand dune is just higher than that. But the house sits behind it.
The point I'm trying to say is that if somebody were standing on that beach there on the on the bottom day and were flashing you with a mirror, you'd easily see those reflections. But
yes,
if you're talking about on the top image there, if somebody was standing in the exact same spot flashing you with a mirror, you would not see it.
No, you wouldn't see it.
Right, because you're behind that mirage. And so with some of the videos after we're done talking, when I show some videos from Salton Sea, let's keep that in mind so that people understand why we weren't seeing the mirror on the second day and why we were able to see it on the first. And that alone is hugely telling, because again, if it's the globe, then we should never see it. And the fact that we are seeing it when there's no inferior mirage, then you have to deduce from that the inferior mirage is causing the blockage, not the hump of Earth that is supposed to be there. It magically disappeared the day before.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be quite clear about this. This can't be the curvature of the Earth for reasons that I've stated. Firstly, the distances aren't far enough. My observation height is high enough to clear all that. And one last thing, where this inferior mirage is starting, which is roughly here, which is approximately there on the sand dunes, the water never gets that high. Even at high tide, it never gets that high. The high tide is down here, and this is at low tide. So it's absolutely, definitely nothing to do with any curvature of the Earth. It is an atmospheric blockage. It's the only way I can say it. Obviously, here we've got the buildings of Barrow. Obviously, on this image, you've got a nice, clear, crisp image of the medical centre. On the other image, you don't. Everything's hidden. And I think, lastly, I do a few other comparisons. I won't go through every single one of them. But the most important one is this last one here, where, oh, hang on, let me pause that. So that you can see that the tide height was the same, tide distances were the same. I'm in exactly the same location. You can see that with these steps. And also I do a pan around and show you that I'm at BLO 97 off the railings anyway on both videos. So everything was identical except one had an inferior mirage and one didn't. And that's just the nature of our world. We get these days where we have these conditions, and it's really difficult to try and see through them. But understanding them is the important part, because a year and a half to 2 years ago, the globe has claimed that the inferior mirage was where the start of the curvature of the Earth was. And that was their dogmatic position. So let's just go back to this image of the lighthouse here. So last year, or the year before, this line here, this split line in the middle where we've got this mirage starting, was where the curvature of the Earth was in every globe head that you ever spoke to on YouTube. That's where the curvature of the Earth was. And I've kind of gone out of my way to disprove that with reams of data that kind of makes them take a step back and say, actually, no, we actually now agree, and I've got a video on my channel of Globers actually now agreeing that this isn't the case. This is an effect of something in the atmosphere is causing this, and it's like an atmospheric blockage. So going back to Mick West and what he said and what he's done recently, after I started doing all this investigation into the swell and such, and once they realised that that was going to be absolutely terrible for him in his Metabunk Earth Curve calculator, he included this nice little caveat down here, Jaron. Do you want to read that?
I'd love to. Yeah, so, and if people want to know, sorry, my volume's on that one. If people want to know why I named this show what I did, the name of this show is, of course, Globebuster Sunday Discussion, not accurate for observations over water close to the horizon. So this is the reason. So basically he added a note to his curvature calculator now that says, note, not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon.
Jaron, in the globe model, could you tell me how much of the Earth's surface is covered by water?
I believe they say it's 70%.
Wow. So what's he trying to say here? That 70% of the Earth cannot be measured optically?
Right. Yeah. It's so
Wow.
funny. It's so funny because this guy has taken step after step after step to combat the things that we've come back with. And, we talked about it in the last show. If you want to hear me get into it a little bit more, talking with Ranty in the show we did about, I don't know if that was 3 weeks ago or a month ago, whatever. But the problem was the hump, I was talking about. And if you look at the top of what Ranty's showing now, it says Earth's curve horizon, bulge, drop, and hidden calculator. But there's no more bulge. He's removed that. Why? Because it's preposterous. Because it's absolutely insane to take two distances across water and then to imagine that there's some sort of bulge or hump between you. And the fact that we're able to see these mirror flashes from multiple miles away, we've now seen them at 13 miles, 12 miles. When we're seeing that over those huge distances, it disproves that there's this wall of water in between you and the observer, or in between you and what you're observing. It's just ridiculous. So first it starts out with him removing the bulge. Then it was, I believe, him moving the refraction above the geometric, which is fine. I know Ranty does what I do. Ranty always gives the globe as much as humanly possible. We always give them refraction. We give them all these things that they need because still our observations trump what they're showing. So he moves refraction on top. Then he removed the bulge like I talked about. And now he's added a note that says not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're saying is flat. That's what we're saying is level. That's what we're saying you can see too far. So he's just simply removing all those observations now. So what are you left with? Looking over land for distances of, well, everything that you're going to see is going to get too small to see, is going to be blocked by everything that's geometrically or at least geographically in front of you.
It's really preposterous. He should perhaps put should change this to land curve calculator rather than the Earth curve calculator, because if it's not accurate for observations over water, what's the point in him including it in Earth's curve calculator? He shouldn't. It should be land curve calculator. We don't have a curve calculator over water.
Well, it's like I've told people before. They've measured the land and they've measured topography and what you might call elevation. They've done all that. And then what do? They assume that the 70% of the Earth is curved. Nobody's gone out and actually done these measurements over the water. They just calculate that in. And I want to do a show with Chris Van Maitre where he will explain that everything that is the globe is a mathematical adjustment to what we actually see in planar surveying. Wow.
I'd like to see that. Darren, can I just show you this image of Devonshire Dock Hall?
No. Okay, yes.
So we've got an image here of Devonshire Dock Hall. You can see that this is the inlet of water. If we go back to the Google Earth, let me just show you that. So where are we? Where's Google Earth gone? Can't see which one it is. Oh, there we go. Google Earth. Exit Street View. So I'm just going to show you this Devonshire Dock Hall. So it's basically here. So obviously this is the inlet of water, and this is the building. This is Devonshire Dock Hall. As you can see, this is this kind of design that it has on it, and here it is in the water. And obviously this is where they make the submarines over at Barrow-in-Furness, so they can just launch them out here. So this is all connected to the ocean. If you follow this channel through, it leads you into this estuary. The estuary then allows you to come out of Barrow-in-Furness and out into the ocean. So it's all connected, it's all at the same level. And going back to the image, where are we? So here it is. Here it is. This is it right next to the shoreline. I've actually got a 3D graphic here that I can show you. So obviously this is a 3D animation. So what I've done here, this is the exact model of it. So I've taken a screenshot of that, and I'm just going to compare that to the images that I took. Where are we? It will be in Paint. So yeah, so here we go. So this is my excellent comparison, the 1 foot observation versus the 35-foot observation. And obviously I've scaled it, down here. Mm-hmm. And obviously you can see where these match up, these humps all match up, but you can see it's scaled. There's nothing missing here, Jeren. This is a shore-to-shore observation. I've said it all along. This is impossible on the globe. I mean, I didn't need to perhaps go as far as showing you this, but essentially right. This is on the shoreline, and these buildings are 167 feet tall, right? They should be hidden by Earth curve at the distance that I took this 1 foot observation from up here. But you can clearly see that it is a shore-to-shore observation. Now, what's this saying? This is saying that on this day that I took the 1 foot observation, and I've got dozens of videos just the same like this, so it's not like it was a one-off. I've done observations from 1 inch. I've actually got the camera in the sand and taken observations of these buildings at 18 miles plus. So it's not like I'm just cherry picking here,
right.
Just that this is a nice clear image. But what it's showing is that this ball nonsense.
Cherry picking, in a fact, though, that we kind of do have to cherry pick as far as there's some things that should never be visible on the globe, and so when we find those, that's what we're cherry picking out, because there is times when atmospheric conditions will block things on the other side. We showed you that. That's what the inferior mirage does. That's what I'll show you when I show you Salton Sea. So yeah, I think a lot of people get confused with that, and if you're a glober, you're going to go out, you're going to find that day like the Nat Geo did, or the Independent Investigations Group. You're going to find that hot day, and I can't wait to go back to Salton Sea come November and December, and to show people the difference between the videos I show you today and the videos I do. I'll show you more videos when I put those all together, and then all together show you what happens when we go back. It's going to be quite eye-opening.
Cool. I can't wait to see them either, Jaron. But what we're looking at here is this is the model of Google Earth. Now, what you'll notice is it's spherical. Doesn't matter where you go on it. It's a round ball. It's a tennis ball, golf ball, whichever way you want to choose it. But look at the water. The water is sticking to the supposed sphere in a circle. Now, this can be measured. We've got a calculation of the geometric shape, 8 inches per mile squared. So view it at 8 miles. 1 mile away, you've dropped 8 inches. At 2 miles away, you've dropped 32 inches. It's measurable, and the water is sticking to this ball, sticking to the ball in the globe model, because the heavy center of the Earth is causing a lot of gravitational pull, which is forcing everything to be in a sphere shape, circular. So, being that the fact that the water is liquid, it has to have that. The gravitational pull of it is going to force it into a particular shape, because it's malleable, it's a liquid, and this is the shape that it takes, 8 inches per mile squared. Now, if gravity had a day off one day and didn't decide to work, and gravity was having a bit of an issue, had a cough, wasn't feeling too good, right, then we'd all be dead, right? We'd all be dead. If it had a 5-second cough, we would all be dead, because we'd all instantly be blown off into space. So what that means is that this liquidy area here of water, this distance across here, is a measurable part of that big curve that I've showed you. So from this distance here to this distance here, we're looking at the ball model. It is curving, it is wrapping around, it is being pulled into a sphere. Now, you can't have flat water. I can't do an observation from 1 foot and then look across this body of water, because the hump would be in the way, Jaron,
right,
and we wouldn't see these buildings in the background. The hump would be in the way.
The bulge.
And
the bulge.
The
that,
bulge.
That
bulge.
Mick West has gotten rid of now from the calculator.
So going back to this image here, this bulge would have been in the way. These buildings should not have been seen at all, and obviously we do see them, and we see them for a reason. That's because the water is laying flat. It is not being curved. There is no bulge in the way. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. And we're seeing, just on a very nice day with no swell, nothing like that, no waves, we're just seeing shore to shore, because that's the nature of our world. And the Globers will turn around and tell you that what we're looking at here is a hologram, because gravity would have had to have had a day off in their model. Looping, super looming, refraction nonsense, hyena on steroids.
Right.
And yeah, it's just ridiculous.
And again, it's very easy for them to just say that's the case. They don't have any evidence of that. They don't show things. It's their model. And if things don't match the observations, well, they have to make up something that makes it match their model. So you just have to invent something that nobody else can show. We've never seen anything appearing from behind curves due to atmospheric effects, but they say, no, that's what's happening. Things are being bent up, lifted, loomed, refracted, whatever they want to say, and it's easy for them just to walk away and go do what they want for the day, whereas other people are out there actually researching this and showing that it's not possible.
Exactly, Jaren. And like you say, I mean, I know you wanted to discuss the inferior mirage, which is absolutely great. I've got probably a good dozen videos on my channel going into very great depth about this location and where the inferior mirage starts, how it affects what you're seeing, how it causes blockage from the bottom up. I don't know if we see it in this video, no, no, obviously, but whatever. We do see this blockage, and these, at certain times in an inferior mirage, you wouldn't see the majority of this stuff at the bottom. It would all be hidden, just like on the videos that I put out. A lot of flat earthers and globers at the time were always saying, "Why are you showing proof of curvature?" Because that's what they would automatically come back.
Right.
Because they didn't realise I was actually embarking on a body of research, and that involved showing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and eventually, being able to compare like for like on different days. We were able to determine categorically that this inferior mirage doesn't happen at the supposed horizon where the curve is happening. It happens atmospherically, and I think like you say, you saw that with your own first hand when you did this Salton Sea, when you had good observational visibility one day, and obviously the inferior mirage on the following day. So you're looking across a lake there, and obviously you're not going to get any huge tsunami waves over there, or shouldn't have imagined.
No, there was a few, waves the next day, which, I think were obviously wind driven. Very small. There's no tide to speak of, but certainly a huge difference. And that's a tough spot to do observations because it is 230 feet below sea level at the water level there. And so it really kind of creates a bowl, and we got there the first day, and like I said, it was such beautiful, we were able to see. We weren't even planning on doing any tests that day. We were just going to scout the locations, and we ended up flashing a mirror back and forth 13 miles and saying, oh, this is going to be great tomorrow. We can't wait. And then we came the next day, and right when we got there, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Ranty. When we got there on the second day, the mirage was absolutely the worst in the morning and then trailed off throughout the day. I always expected it to be the best observation time would be in the morning, and then we would be able to try and get the observations in before the mirage started happening, and it was the opposite. So it's something interesting I haven't seen before.
I was thinking about that, and if you think how Eskimos keep warm in their Eskimo little igloo thing that they build, what they do at the doorway, they dig a trench, and then they put themselves on a shelf. So they're taking themselves off the floor, and they dig a trench in the floor near the doorway. And the reason for that is because cold air sinks, right? So the cold air will sink into that little trough that they've just dug at the doorway. And whilst they're on a shelf, so higher up above that, they'll get the warmer air. So in the daytime, at nighttime, when it was nighttime where you are 200 and odd feet below sea level, the cold air will have settled, and it will have settled exactly in your location. And then it would have taken the whole day for that area to sort of warm up and try to get some kind of warmth going in there, but it might have taken all day to get to that point. Yeah? So you trying to do it first thing in the morning would have been the worst time to do that.
Yeah, very interesting, because that's what we saw. We all showed up at 5:30 in the morning, and I mean, as soon as we got out the cars and looked across, like, holy smokes, this is much different than the day before. And the day before, we did get there late in the afternoon, too, around 3 p.m., when everything was perfect. So it was definitely eye-opening, but I'll be able to show some videos of that shortly. Let's get into what you're going to be changing your channel over to. You told me a little bit about it before the show, and I think it's a great idea. So go ahead and tell people about that. I didn't pull up your graphic that you sent me. You might want to pull that up yourself.
Okay, so
let me just real quick. We have a couple super chats. FlatEarth101.com. You will find all the tools to test Flat Earth. Yeah, please check out that website. I've been meaning to plug that website, and I haven't done it, so I'll do it in the next few shows I do. But FlatEarth101.com. Check that out. There's lots of tools there. Joshua Doyle says, love the Globebusters and Jeranism. Hate super chats, but have to support them somehow. Going to become a Jeranism patron in the next couple days. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Patreon is great because if you know what you have coming in each month, as Ranty knows, and you can check out Ranty's Patreon as well too, if you want to donate to him. Hardcore Street Activism, Circumvent, Google, and Teach Earth is Seriously Flat. Thank you so much for that. Google declared war on flat earthers. Let's unite and teach kids how to test the globe doctrine. Get all your tools for hardcore globe abortion at flatearth101.com. Yeah, Earth is seriously flat. I disagree with some people when they say, teach children that the Earth is flat. I don't agree with that. I think that we need to teach children critical thinking. And that's real tough in today's day because we've all been force-fed this idea of the Earth being a sphere. At such a young age, it's very difficult. And if they would have taught us to test those things and not just to take them on face value and it must be true because there's a globe in every classroom, that's why it's so difficult for these people to shed that belief. And I've talked about it before, that everything changes in your life. Your parents probably change. Either they got divorced, they get old, they pass away, your grandparents have passed away. You've changed schools, you've changed teachers, you've changed your home, you've moved a few times, you've changed your city, you went from high school or preschool to middle school to high school to college. Everything changes in your life. The one thing that remains true, the one thing that remains stable for people is the fact that they live on a spinning ball. And so when you remove that from people, that's they can't take it. That's the one thing they've been able to hold on to their entire life. And so it's very scary when you start to take that. So rather than teach children, because I don't want to do the same thing that the Globe did. The Globe force-fed us globe our entire life to the point where we were basically stuck in our beliefs about the globe. I mean, it took me 35 years to shed that belief. And so I don't think it's fair to children to teach them that the Earth is flat as much as I think it's important to teach critical thinking and teach them to go out and investigate these things themselves and to research it and look into it and don't just believe everything that you're taught in school. So appreciate the super chats there. Hawardo8, thank you for the $1. And then Earth is Seriously Flat says, love is teaching the whole family about our beautiful stationary flat Earth and be compassionate, love mode. Remember, they are globe zombies. Again, I think it's teaching the importance of family is huge, the importance of truth, the importance of investigations and research, the importance of not believing everything you're told. That's another bad thing. I mean, that's why people fall for these Nigerian email scams and everything else, is because people were too trusting and people didn't want to investigate things for themselves or really think about some of these things we're told. We were told that we're living on a spinning space rock in a vacuum with an atmosphere, and none of us ever thought about it. None of us ever even considered it. Like, wait a second, that doesn't really work at all. How is this atmosphere connected to this vacuum? It wouldn't exist. None of us thought that until we started to take a step back from everything we were taught and really question it. So I think that's most important. Yes, I totally agree. Earth is Seriously Flat says, teach children how to test the globe doctrine. Absolutely. Teach them to go out and do their own investigations, to research it. Watching videos like this is important. If they don't want to watch these, they just rather believe what Bill Nye says, then that's fine. But I think it's important to teach them that to open their mind, look into all options, and then make the decision for themselves. None of us had the chance to do that. As I've often said, anybody who came out of 4th grade, let's say 5 years ago, had a 0% chance of believing anything other than the Earth being a sphere. That's just the fact. That's the way it was. And so some of the things that Flat Earth has done is allowed people to, at least now, there is a small chance that people can come out of 4th grade and at least have questions and say, well, I haven't been shown proof of it. Yeah, I was told that people went to the moon 50 years ago, but isn't it weird that, space travel is the only technology that's gone so far backwards that now we have to hear, in 2024 we'll go to the moon. Now Trump saying, no, we're not going to the moon. Mars is more important. And that will just continue and continue. And hopefully my movie, NASA Going Nowhere Since 1958, will show people that we've been fed this line of rhetoric for a long time. All right, sorry, I went off on a rant there. But Ranty, tell people what you're going to be doing going forward. I think it's brilliant.
Okay, so going forward, a lot of my subscribers were going to be asking what my next line of research was going to be. And because I've spent so long doing optics, I really didn't want to spend too much time finding out all the ins and outs about other people's beliefs and why they believe in certain things and what their proofs are. So being a part of the Flat Earth debate team has been great. More recently, though, we haven't had a thorough discussion with the Globers. So I thought, well, how about I open up the platform in a way that allows them to come in, and I mean this from the side of the Globers, and to concavers and to flat earthers, so it's literally open to anybody, to come onto my platform, do a live or pre-recorded actually presentation anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes in length on a very niche specific topic involved with flat Earth. So it could be like gyroscopes, or it could be about gravity, or whichever it would be, and give their reasons in detail with a presentation exactly why they believe in that for their model. So a Glober can come on with their reasons why they believe gravity is real in regards the model for the globe. And then the format's going to be that they come on, they do a presentation. I don't interrupt them a single bit. In fact, I won't ask them any questions in the entire thing. So they come on, they do the presentation. We then open up the conversation to the chat people, and we ask them, can you ask some questions? So people will ask some questions. The guest will then decide whether or not they wish to answer it. If they don't feel they can answer that particular question, they can choose to ignore the question or just say, I don't know, I'll find out, or whatever. And then we'll end that particular segment. So that will be finished then. So that will be one show, done and dusted, where a Glober has come onto a Flat Earthers channel, told my audience and whoever decides to show up at the time why they believe in a certain thing. So it might be that they believe that gyroscopes can prove that the Earth's a globe. And funnily enough, I've just finished my first video with a Flat Earther that's actually going to do a presentation on Friday, which I've actually got now ready. So it's going to be presented, and it's going to be his proof as to why gyroscopes prove a flat Earth. So eventually what's going to happen is we're going to have opposing arguments where we're getting the insight from the Glober's perspective and the Concaver's perspective as to why these things apply to them and their model. And eventually what will happen is we'll have a presentation from a flat earther and a Glober on gyroscopes, and then I'm going to invite them to have a one-on-one debate with each other, with me as moderator. And they can, I would assume that they both know a lot about gyroscopes, and they would be willing to have a civil disagreement with each other, or maybe even come to some kind of conclusions with each other, because ultimately I feel that as a flat earther, I don't know the globe Earth argument well enough. So opening up my channel to allow a Glober to come in and say whatever he wants to say to me, presuppose everything he wants, beg the question all he wants. Because ultimately, until we understand where they're coming from, we're never going to get a cordial debate going. And that's what I want. So it's going to be called Flat Earth Roundtable. The show's going to start this Friday coming. So what are we on now? 5 days from now. 6 p.m. UK time. Hopefully this first show will be about an hour in length in total. The presentation that he's put together lasted around about 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to open up the chat for perhaps a 15 to 20 minute, maybe 25-minute back and forth with him just answering the questions of the people in chat. Again, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to be sat on my hands, keeping my mouth shut. This is their time to shine. They can come in, they can have the whole platform to themselves, and we can get to the nuts and bolts of this. We can dig right down and find out what is their reason for this, what is their reason for that, and hopefully we can get some back and forth going with that. So it's starting this Friday. I hope to be doing a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've already had, since I put this stuff out, this new show format out to the public, is that 50 people have already emailed me saying what a brilliant idea it is and platform for people to come in and express their opinion and open up their beliefs in a cordial way to people that generally disagree with them, but rather than shouting and screaming, they're doing it in a very presentation-oriented way, because we don't see very many presentations from the Globers. We do from Flat Earthers, but not from Globers. And then, of those 50 people that emailed me, I've had 16 people email me specifically saying that they want to do a presentation. 9 globe earthers and 7 flat earthers, and they've all have different niches. So, like I say, the first guy that I've interviewed today already has done a demonstration and presentation on a gyroscope. I have got somebody lined up who I would like to do. You might know him, Gem Panda.
Oh yeah,
Jeran.
I know him well.
So he wants to do a presentation for the NASA anniversary that's coming up. So he wants to do a presentation on my platform as to why the moon landings were real.
Mm.
And he's going to present his evidence as to why the moon landings were real. And obviously, as flat earthers, because we've always seen the debunked videos as to why the moon landings were not real, he's going to put a different perspective on it. So he's going to say it from the globe earthers side. Look, this is why we believe the moon landings were real.
Yeah, I've seen him do a video on it before. So what he's going to say is that there's paperwork that they drew up which says that it's real, and there's video. So I can't. Yeah, but I think it's great. You should give him an opportunity to say that, and maybe I can do the alternative and then present that on your channel. And like you said, then we can have a little discussion about it.
Yeah, well, that's the format. That's what I would like. I would like one show for the globe, one show for a flat Earth, and then maybe a dialogue between the two of you and some kind of debate or discussion or whichever way format you want to actually do it in. But ultimately, this is like, I don't have enough time to go around looking at globe Earthers videos, because quite often you look at people like Conspiracy Cat, Simon Dan, they're only ever putting crazy videos out that just make fun of flat earthers. They don't really put much effort into explaining why they believe this or why they believe that. So being able to get them to come on and present a presentation in a presentation format, just like I've done this presentation with you today, Jaron, this is what I would like them to do their presentations with for their research, for the reasons why they believe in the globe. And I think this format, I think it's got some legs, and I would hope people would be interested in seeing that, because I have a feeling that of the audience that's probably watching now, I can imagine not very many of them go over to Globe Earthers videos and watch their globe, unless they're a glober, obviously. But if you're a flat earther, you generally don't go sniffing around the globers' work to find out what their beliefs are. So presenting it on a flat earth channel, I think it's novel, it's different, it'll encourage a bit of dialogue, and it won't be jumping down people's throats. I'll be very, very standoffish. The platform's theirs to do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, get on with it. And we'll take it from there, and we'll review what they've said. Obviously, we'll review what they've said, and we'll put it to the test, and we'll see whether or not it passed muster.
It's an interesting idea. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it can't hurt. I think it's good to offer that opportunity, and I've done the same thing. You gave a presentation recently on my channel, and I've told other people. One of the things I want to change about that, if anybody's actually interested in doing that, and what I mean by a presentation on my channel is, one of the things I never had an opportunity to do so much, at least that I can think of, is to appear on somebody who had a much larger channel than I. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, well, I don't want to get into making videos on Flat Earth because there's already so many big channels, and it's too difficult to become a channel what people either subscribe to or look for new videos coming from. So I think one of the things I can do with my channel now that it's a little larger is to use it as a place where if I think somebody has a good channel, they're making good videos like Life is Short, like Travis does, like Good Times for All, these guys like Ranty Flat Earth, like Nathan Oakley, I don't know, any of these guys that I think are doing a good job, if they want to come on and present something and to kind of get their channel some subscribers. We've done it with you, Ranty. You got quite a few subscribers out of it. Nathan Oakley, Sleeping Warrior. There's been quite a few people that have come on and have been able to get a few hundred subscribers just by presenting on my channel. So I put that out there, and I told people to email me if they were interested. And I got a few emails, and some of the people, the problem that happened right off the bat is they said, well, how do I present? And I said, oh, well, you would use Skype. And they said, oh, I don't have a Skype. So it's like, well, you're going to need a Skype to present because you need to screen share. You need to have some sort of either a PDF or, either a presentation of some type, whether it's Apple or whatever. What does Apple call their presentations? I forgot.
Well, I have no idea. I don't use Apple.
Yeah, I forgot what they're called.
But I just want to thank
Keynote.
you. I want to thank you, Jaron, because when I did the presentation last time, I think I got close to 500 subscribers within about 4 days. And for me, that was a massive growth. It pushed me way past 3,000 subscribers.
Sweet.
Which would have taken me a long time to go, because I'm only going up by 3 or 4 every day.
Right.
It's a very, very slow process to actually get somebody to actually click the subscribe and ring the bell kind of thing, because it's just that we are being censored in the... Right. Other flat earthers are finding it difficult to find other flat earthers' content, especially if you've never heard of them before. I'm coming across flat earthers that have got 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers, and I'm thinking, where have they come from? How come
Right.
I've never found them before?
Yeah, I see the same thing when I'm searching videos, and sometimes I'm just shocked. I'm like, where's this person? And they're doing good observations. But, at the beginning of this, when you go back 4 years ago, since there were so few of us, it was very easy to search, flat Earth proof or flat Earth demonstration or whatever, and you would get all these videos, and it was very easy to find everybody. Well, now with Fight the Flat Earth and all these other guys that are releasing videos every day, just making fun of flat earthers, of course, YouTube demonetizing, delisting, not. I get it all the time. I don't know if you get this, Ranty, but people message me all the time and say, "Hey, it always turns off the notification bell for your channel." Somebody else sent me an email screenshot showing me that they showed a screenshot from their phone showing that they are have alerts on. They showed a screenshot from their computer showing they have alerts on, and then showed me their email. And for a day that I went live, and there was no email, there was no alert, and they're like, they don't even notify me, so I don't know when you go live. So,
Yeah.
They're doing that, and I think that one of the things that we can do to kind of help some of those people is allow them to present on some of these channels, and that's what I look out for. So you do have to have a Skype first and foremost. I want to mention that. Let me see if I have my Skype address up here, just so people know it. I already get a ton of Skype messages a day. I probably get 40 or 50, but luckily Skype lets me organize them by favorite, so I will eventually get to you. If you've Skyped me before, you know that I've responded. Let me see if I have it here. My Skype. Oh, I guess I don't have a way to bring it up. Anyway, my Skype address, and I'll put it in the show notes, is Jeranism Truth. So just search the channel name Jeranism space Truth. Add me. You have to add contacts, and then just let me know that you have something you'd like to present, whatever it is. I'm open to have you come on. So, and I like Ranty's format is a little different than mine. I'm kind of trying some of the smaller channels, which, contact Ranty too. I'm sure we'll both let you present. It's not like you can do one or the other.
I just want to talk about the reasons why I've also opened it up to basically anybody.
Sure.
And specifically for this particular reason today, the gentleman that did this presentation with me today, that I will be showing on Friday, he has been in what you would call a closet flat earther for the longest of time. He's tried to bring it out to some of his friends and family that don't want to know about it at all. He's his own researcher. He's written his own book about the reasons why gyroscopes can prove the flat Earth. His family won't even read it. His friends don't want to know. He feels like he's being very ostracized. He doesn't have a YouTube channel or any kind of platform to actually do this stuff on. So when I got the email from him specifically, it was like, for him, it was relieving that he could come on and do a presentation, right, without having been heckled, without being attacked on or in any kind of a debate, sort of like a back and forth. As soon as you go in, you get in these debates. He didn't want that. He just wanted to do a presentation. Show the information that he has and what he's gathered. Tell me a little bit of his backstory. For him, it was a massive, massive personal achievement to actually be able to do this presentation. And I didn't realize it would affect him as bad as it did, but he was really passionate about how much it meant to him to be able to get this off his chest, do a presentation to the world, show them what he has, in his opinion, is absolute proof that gyroscopes prove a flat Earth. And because he doesn't have a platform, he's got nobody to speak to. But this opens up the opportunity. The silent researchers in the background that never type a word in the chat, the 300 or 400 people that are watching, you're probably only seeing 50 people talking in the chat. That means there's at least 300 people not saying anything. They're just listening. Well, these guys are doing their own research too, but they just don't want to come and do they don't want to enter into a debate platform. They don't want to set a YouTube channel up. But, this platform that I'm offering allows them to come on with their research, present it, and maybe offer a whole new perspective on some things that we've never even thought about.
Yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant idea. So contact Ranty. His email address is currently on the screen, ranty@rantyflatearth.com. His YouTube channel is youtube.com/rantyflatearth. So, Ranty, any final words before I let you go?
No, that's absolutely perfect, John. I've enjoyed the conversation again. If anybody's subscribed, I thank you very much. As I say, last time I got 500 subscribers, I was overwhelmed. And if anybody wants to come and have a little nosy next week on Friday, 6 p.m. UK time, so GMT, just look up Flat Earth Roundtable, or just look on my channel at that time, and I will be presenting a live show with the gentleman that I've just spoken about.
Now, I don't mean to call you out again, but I do not believe you are GMT.
Okay, right. What are we then?
I think you're -1.
Okay.
Because I
Well,
think I don't know. I could be wrong. Because let me look it up real quick. Just because I always have this conversation and I feel like I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look up GMT right now, Greenwich Mean Time. Let me look up the time right now, and you tell me if it's correct. Right now, it's 8:41 p.m.
well, let's have a look. Let's hover it over the.
What time is
Let's
it
get
for
rid.
you?
Well, let's just get rid of all that. Oh, 9:41. So maybe you're correct then.
Yeah, I think you're. Well, what would that mean? You're +1.
Plus one, yeah.
But then you change at daylight savings, then you go back to GMT. But that's why
Yes.
you and I can never get on the same page when we're talking about what time we're going to do shows, is because you're always telling me you're GMT, and then I don't know, maybe I'm off too. But I think it's 8:41 because I'm -7. But then when daylight saving times ends, I go back to -8. I think you guys fall off of GMT. I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But I think it's 8:41 and 9:41 for you, so you're +1 right now, maybe.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put an advert out, a show advert, to let people know. So
Okay.
if they wanna just jump on over on Friday and have a look, or
Sounds
watch
good.
it back on the replay. They might like the format and they might want to do a presentation themselves.
So are you going to do it live?
Yeah, I've pre-recorded their presentation so that I can pre-approve it, basically, so that they don't porn bomb me.
Right.
Because it could be anybody. So we do a pre-approved Skype call. They do the presentation. I've got it recorded. So I'm going to use OBS to present that. So it will be presented. We'll still be on the call live,
Gotcha.
ready to go. So the presentation will run. As soon as the presentation finishes, we'll both say, okay, we're just taking a little 5-minute recess. Please put some questions in the chat. We would hope that people would then interact with the chat and ask him direct questions specifically about his presentation. He'll get a chance to respond. Again, I'm not going to have any involvement. I'm not going to help him in any way, shape, or form. It's literally his platform for that entire time that I'm doing the show. It's his show, basically. So he gets the chance to respond.
All right.
And then we'll just end the show. And then if anybody feels that, hang about, I didn't agree with that, well, then they can email me and say, do you know what, I would like to do a presentation on gyroscopes that prove why the Earth is a globe. And it's like, okay, then. Well, that's opposing what this guy's just said. And then, we'll take it from there. Incremental things about very specific parts of the argument. So I don't want a catch-all of everything. I want people to talk about specifics, whether it's the Rayleigh criterion or whether it's about like I say, gyroscopes or whatever, just one individual thing, so we can just have a very focused debate on one thing, so that hopefully we can get some resolution about these questions.
All right, sounds awesome. So everybody, go over there, subscribe to Ranty, become a patron if you like the work that he does. Support what you like, or it goes away. I'm a patron of Ranty, so join me over there and follow him at youtube.com/rantyflatearth and email him if you're interested in presenting on his channel. And, of course, check out his channel for lots of great observations in a very unique location. And also he does a great job of showing you exactly where he's taking those observations from. And then you can make up your own mind about what you're seeing and whether it matches the globe or the flat Earth model, and whether or not observations over long distances over the water near the horizon should be counted or not. Oh, boy. All right.
Thank you, Mick West. Thank you, Mick West.
Thank you so much for that. All right, appreciate it, Randy. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you everybody in the chat. Appreciate this, Jaron. It's been awesome as always.
All right, talk soon. Peace. All right, guys, that was Ranty Flat Earth. So let me turn off these things. What's going on here? There we go. Put that back there. So anyway, thank you guys so much for sitting through that. I think Ranty always has some great observations, and he helps show some things that I've been wanting to show, and he just does a good job of matching up images that I need to do with my Salton Sea observations. I'm actually going to take you over there now. We're going to show you that in 1 second. Let me bring this up. And again, if you want to check out last Monday's Monday Night Raw, we had Crow and Jason Lindgren on. That was a great show. Crow777radio.com. If you're not subscribed to that podcast, you need to do so. It's one of the best truth-seeking podcasts out there, different topic every week. But today we are looking at a Globebuster-ish Sunday discussion live. Again, if you're looking for Globebusters, we're going to be away for a little while, but Do know that every single Sunday at Globebuster's time, which is 12 noon Pacific, I will be here on my channel. I will be joined by Iru if he can make it, and we'll be doing some some presentations by Iru's got some stuff, and we'll just be talking flat Earth. So if you're looking for Globebusters, it may be missing for a little while. Bob's got some stuff going on. I believe he's selling his house, possibly moving yonder further to the East Coast, which is the least coast, for those who didn't know that. I like to point that out as often as possible. That's where David Weiss lives, so I would always try to move as far away from him as possible. So that's why I'm way on the West Coast. This way I'll only have to see him once a year at Flat Earth conferences. Anyway, check that out too, FEIC 2019, if you're interested in coming to that conference. Owen Benjamin will be there. So that is very cool. All right, let me bring up these observations here. Let me start this over. So what I'm showing you now is just some video looking across the Salton Sea. This distance here, it varies anywhere from 9 to 13 miles that I'll be showing you as I pan the distant shore. But I want you to notice that there is no repeating at the line. You do see the waves, if you want, the distortion of the atmosphere, but you see no inferior mirage. So somebody is over across that way, standing on the shoreline. Let me pull it a little bit further here just so you can see. We'll see some houses here shortly. Sorry for my jerky movement. Again, I haven't put these together yet to show you exactly. By the way, this is all infrared. So if you're looking for beautiful colors and things like that, you're not going to get that. There's some houses and stuff that are sitting right by the shore. But now picture if somebody is over there standing on the shore and they're flashing us with the mirror, you would be able to see it on this day. And again, this is the first day that we got there, and we were excited. We said, okay, this is going to be great. Let me show you another one. I think this is also from day one. Yep. And you'll notice that there's no repeating. When we get that inferior mirage, all of a sudden you see repeating. And if you look across here, we're not seeing that. Okay. Let me show you another one here. Okay, so we can zoom in, and there is no. It's not like a, it's like not like a beach shore. You're not looking for a beach. Most of the things are like an abrupt little wall, and then we were standing, near those walls, flashing back and forth. But I'm just showing you that there's no repeating in the atmosphere. Let me go a little bit further down. Let's see what this one. Okay, now you'll see this is when we showed up on day 2, and hopefully you can quickly see the difference. Let me back this up. Look at that. So clearly you can see that all this is now repeating. So now if somebody's over here on this shore where before we were able to see houses, things like that, well, now the person flashing the mirror is actually behind this deep inferior mirage. And so you can see what a difference these 2 days make, and you'll see everything repeats. You can see this building here repeats here. This slant repeats here. This here repeats here. This little white thing repeats. This black thing is repeated here, upside down, upside down. This here is repeated here. So this is the difference, and this is why on day 2 when we were at the Salton Sea, we weren't seeing the flashes when on day 1 we were. You just saw the difference between day 1 and day 2. This is all just an inferior mirage, basically blocking that distant shoreline. Let me get a little bit further here. You'll even see it more drastically. You'll see there. It's just a repeating. Everything is repeating on top of each other. That's what the inferior mirage does. We're looking across here at about 9 miles. This is the city over there at Capri Road. This is much higher up on the hill. You'll see we don't see much repeating of this little factory, which is behind Capri Road. Well, Capri Road is over here to the right, over in this direction. So as we go back over, this is where the people were. Oops, stop there. So this is the city that's right there. I can't remember. Capri Road comes around. You turn. This is the main highway. You turn here by this observation, or not observation. What do you call it? It's a communications tower. And you turn here. You travel down through these little houses, and you get to the shore at Capri Road, which ends up over here. So just showing you, as we zoom in, you can see that this building, which is way up here, you can see that car. See that car moving on the freeway there? And this is a building. Sorry about my filming. Let me let that come back in. Here we go. So really you have this whole area. If you kind of picture a square that is blocked by this inferior mirage, just repeating here, and you can see everything. You can see there's about a line here, and the shore is about right here, okay, running this entire length. But if somebody's here with a mirror, you can't flash through this reflection layer, which is exactly what you see here. And just to show you how bad it gets, let me show you, is it this one? No, this one. Very interesting here. Let me start it over. This is a train traveling on the other side. This is a much further distance. This is about 13 miles. But you can see that this entire piece here, this square, if you will, completely blocks the shore. What you have there is you have a train, then you've got some land here coming down, and then the shore is right below it, right about here. Okay? But you couldn't see anything on the shore. It'd be impossible. Because what you're actually seeing is just this inversion layer, this superior mirage. You can see everything repeat. You see this repeat right below it. Obviously, you can see the train repeating heavily right below it. So this entire square here is blocking the distant shoreline. So what I want to do is I want to get videos of both locations and really match them up, kind of like what Ranty does. I just haven't done that yet, where I can show you what it looks like on one day and then what it looks like on the next day. So if somebody is standing here at the shore flashing you the sunlight, well, you can't see it. This is a completely, I don't know if you want to call it distortion, it's an inferior mirage. You're just getting that repeating of everything. And no matter how far you go, you can draw the line where everything starts repeating. You know, it's about right here. You can see this repeat here. See those? So this line is about where the repeating is, and then everything above it is just mirroring below. So you can see that quite clearly. But yeah, this is what you get when you get that inferior mirage. So I kind of followed that. There you see a truck traveling on the highway, and you'll see that it's repeating below. And so you have that. Pause that there. So you can just see this is repeating here. This is repeating here. And I think Ranty's talked a lot about how those repeatings happen at different areas too, and we saw a lot of that. But anyway, I've got tons of video footage of it. You see this car repeating down here, and you see that. Oops, I went a little bit too far. You know, repeating here with that black car traveling on the road there. And again, some of these views is still incredible that you can see what we're seeing. Again, this is all infrared, so if you were looking with a camera without infrared, it would actually be even worse. Now let me bring up, let's see here, what's this one? Oh, so this is the first day. This is video from the first day where I'm flashing and they're picking it up. You can picture here, I want to see if there's a good video of how far I am from, oh, there we go. So you can see that I'm about, so you'd figure this mirror that I'm flashing is probably 6 feet above sea level, or above the water level, not sea level, we're 230 feet below. But look at the water, just not even moving. That first day was unbelievable. Completely flat. We were seeing extremely long distances, and so we were seeing these mirror flashes. The only thing that sucks, the first day we got there, I had to do the mirror, and I went there to be observing, not to be flashing the mirror. But on this first day when we saw such great conditions, I said, well, I've got my mirror, I'll flash you guys over there. And they were picking it up 13 miles away. So let me show you real quick. If we go to, where is my browser? Okay, let me bring this up. Oops, that's the Greenwich Mean Time. But let's go to the Metabunk curve calculator. And again, I have to put all these videos together, so I'll just cover it real quickly today. We've got the, all right, well, I usually like to go advanced. Viewer height in feet. So, you know, I was 6 feet and they were 3 feet. They were on a tripod, a 3-foot tripod on the other side. So we can combine those and call it 10 feet. The distance in miles to where they were at Salton City, sorry, I forgot the name of that, was 13 miles away. Again, not accurate for observations over water very close to their, oh, well, I guess we shouldn't do this. You know, that's the way it goes with Metabunk now. But anyway, if you scroll way down here, you know, the bulge height used to be listed up here, but they've gotten rid of it for, you know, you can guess why. but you can still go down here and find it. Here's your bulge height at that distance. So at 13 miles, 28 feet. Okay, and remember, I've already put in the viewer height. And if you want to say, well, Jaron, that's actually you're 8 feet above water level. And okay, well, then the camera was at 3 feet. I was at 8 feet, so then you're talking 11, 12. I don't care if you want to do 15 feet. Do 15 feet if it makes you feel better. Again, this is what I'm talking about, erring on the side of the globe. I'll give them 15 feet, which isn't even close. But why do I do that? Because the bulge... hold on. Did that change? 28 feet. Let's see here. Let me see if it changes here. 28 feet, okay. How about at 20 feet? Okay, let's see here. Oh, the bulge height is remaining the same. Okay, well, but if you do whatever feet you want there, I said 10, we can give it 15, whatever. But at 13 miles, what you're talking about is a bulge height, this bulge height of 28 feet. So again, as I've shown before, and I'll show you right now again. Let's see here. Where can I go to this? Nope. There we go. All right, just to show you here, kind of what we're talking about. You've got a mirror here, and you've got the observing camera here. We'll make that a square instead so it looks like a camera. There we go. And you've got your... Okay, let's do it this way. Sorry. That's fine. All right, so we've got your mirror here and your camera here. And I'll just draw a box around this so that we're not getting confused. So this is a camera. And then you've got your mirror. And you've got your sun here. Make it yellow. All right, so, and I've shown this many times before, people have seen it, but what we were getting is you're seeing reflections off this mirror, and you must have a line of sight. It's required. So what they're saying, if you're talking about the globe calculations, is when you draw this line here, the sagitta, or the hump, is this height here, which they just said was 28 feet at the 13 miles. Okay. And so with me flashing the mirror and the camera person at 3 feet high, how are they seeing over this hump of water? It's clearly impossible. You have to have line of sight. The second this mirror is obstructed by this hump, cancels out the camera's ability to see it. But we were able to see it. And so they have that footage. They've already uploaded that to a Google Drive. I don't have that at hand. But basically, I'll put those all together and show you that they were able to pick up my mirror flashes. And let me see if you can hear the sound on this. Because if you can, then you'll be able to hear them saying flash, flash. Let's see here. Browser. Nope. This one. Let me see if you can hear this. So you'll hear Wendell on the other side saying flash, flash. He's 13 miles away at a 3-foot height.
Am I getting it?
Now the other thing I did, I'm not sure if it's on this video or not, but occasionally I would just turn the mirror to the ground as a test. Basically I would just turn it and I'd stop flashing the mirror. And basically what you do here is you line up your mirror reflection with the water. I kind of would put sticks or rocks in a row, and from there I'd be able to just shine the mirror right up that line and they would see it. Now occasionally I would turn the mirror to the ground and just hold it, and immediately you'd get Wendell on the other side to stop saying mirror, flash, flash, because he was saying flash every time he saw it. I would test him by turning it towards the ground, holding it there and waiting, and he would just say, I don't see it now, I don't see it now, and then I would tip it back up and start flashing him again, which told me that he wasn't seeing, and this is why I wanted to be on the observation side. I wanted to make sure that he wasn't seeing something else, but what I was able from the mirror position to test him, basically by showing it to the ground and saying, okay, now do you see it, now do you see it, and he wouldn't see it. And then of course it was because I was aiming it at the ground. So anyway, I'm going to put those all together. Let's see here. I'm getting text messages. Okay, thank you for that. Let's see here what else we've got going. So anyway, I just wanted to show you those couple videos you've seen. That I'll put all those together into a more compact and easier to digest series of videos. And again, if people are looking for Globebusters, we are going to be off for a little while. Again, tune into this channel every Sunday as I'll be doing my own version. I don't know what we'll call it. I like Globebuster-ish. It's kind of a cool name. What else were we going to talk about? That's it. I don't know if you guys have checked out Zoom Truth. We'll go show you that real quick. Excuse me, I need something to drink here. Let me go over here. All right, so we're going to go to Zoom Truth real quick. ZoomTruth.com. If you're a flat earther and you haven't done this yet, definitely do it. It's awesome. This is the Flat Earth connector where you can find all the people that live near you that are flat earthers. So people have started to fill that in with lots of locations where flat earthers are. So check that out if you haven't signed up for this yet. Usually I have my LastPass on, which it's on, but I don't have my thing signed in. Otherwise, I would show you. But I'll have to do that another time. We're going to do a separate video on that. I'm also doing a video coming up with Dave Weiss where we'll be showing you all the new excuse me, all the new app features. So we have that coming up. Also this week, we are going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing, a presentation basically, or at least giving you my opinion on the great gravity debate. If you haven't had a chance to check out Bob from Globebusters, Antidude 60, he did a presentation on, can't think right now, hold on one second. Okay. Yeah, Bob did a show on Paul on the Plains podcast, which if you haven't heard that yet, just search for Paul on the Plain, and I think it's within the last few videos that he did. Bob gives a presentation, relative density versus the force of gravity. Definitely check that out. Hopefully you check it out before my show, but if you don't, we're going to be kind of going through it step by step. I want people to hear both sides of the argument, and then I kind of want to be done with it. So it's the whole idea of what I've been talking about forever, Jessica Biel or Jessica Alba. Clearly the answer is Jessica Alba, but I understand some people have the other opinion. I just want to give mine, and I kind of want to drop it at that. So I want to explain some parts of it, listen to Bob, and kind of go through it. But, one of the things that I think we need to get away from is the George Mooser line, which I think is nonsense. Let's go to this portion here and listen to George Mooser. Listen to this quote he gives right here, and this is all you need to know because this explains it all, really. Let's listen to this.
And it's a similar thing with Newtonian gravity. We can and do, and we must think of Newtonian gravity as a force. That doesn't mean it really is, but we don't necessarily need to work at the really is level in this case. Yeah. Still,
let's hear that again, everybody. Let's hear that one more time.
Solidity even is, and it's a similar thing with Newtonian gravity. We can and do, and we must think of Newtonian gravity as a force. That doesn't mean it really is, but we don't necessarily need to work at the really is level in this case. We can still think of it as a force for understanding projectile motion.
Okay, so we can and do and we must think of gravity as a force. And he says it doesn't mean that it actually is a force, but we don't need to operate from a level of what really is. Well, that's your answer right there. So people who are on this whole idea that there is a downward force, it's electromagnetic, whatever they want to give to it, they can and do and must think of it as a force. And even though it doesn't mean that it's a force, because they don't need to operate at the what is level. Well, that's kind of where they're coming from. And I've already explained this a million times, and I want to go through it in kind of detail about why I feel that way. And I will. I'm going to go through it in great detail. If you want to hear Crow 777's opinion of it, that was on the show that we did last Monday, so check that out on tfrlive.com. You can just go to Buy Show and then go to Jeranism Raw, and that is the last show that we did. It was uncensored, so it's not available on any of my YouTube channels, but I do believe it's still up on Karen B's channel, so if you want to check it out there, you certainly can. But yeah, I disagree with the opinion of a majority of people out there who think that there has to be a downward force. And, Bob and even Dearth, even Dave Weiss have this opinion that I think is completely and totally wrong. But again, it's okay for them to have that belief. It doesn't bother me. But I want to explain why I think it's wrong. One thing that David Weiss said in a recent interview, I think on Sean Carroll's podcast, is he said, if there was no downward force, if there was no electromagnetic downward force, then everything would just be floating, which is absurd, if we're being honest. It's an absurd statement to make, and I believe if you go back to the Globebuster show where Bob gave his gravity presentation, he needed us to go to space. He said, let's start. Let's say we're in space and things are just floating. He says if we just took a hammer and a ball bearing or something and we just released them in space, they'd just be floating. And that's not even true. There's nobody who even believes that. Even globe believers don't believe that. They believe that things in space are in orbit of one another, that it's constant orbiting of things. There is no belief anywhere that in space things would just float. Think about a gravity chamber. They want you to believe that if there was a gravity chamber just somewhere, a vacuum chamber somewhere, and let's pretend you could remove the Earth. That's another thing that Dave Weiss says all the time. Well, let's remove the Earth. Well, what do you mean? How can you remove the Earth? You can't. It's impossible. But they want you to believe if you could do that things in a vacuum would float. And that's absurd. It's nonsense. They wouldn't float. They would have to have some disequilibrium because you have, say, a golf ball. And again, I can show it real quick on this, but I wanted to save this for the actual show that I'll do, which I will save it, but I'll kind of just explain it real quick. If we have, this is a vacuum chamber. Whoops, you're not seeing me. There you go. Let's say this is some sort of vacuum somewhere, and in it we put a golf ball or whatever you want this ball to be. Well, immediately there is a difference between the density of this ball, which has a certain density. Okay, let me make it black so you can actually see what I'm doing. So there's a difference between the density of this ball and the density of the surrounding area. Correct? There's a vast difference. And so this ball must immediately go somewhere. It has to displace its equilibrium. Now, whatever direction that went, if it was this direction, okay, let's say it went that direction. Well, then I hate to tell you, or love to tell you, that everything that we know would be over there, meaning that the ground would be here, and water would be here, and people would be building houses, and buildings would be here. And then you would realize that no matter where that was, we as humans would call that direction down. And you've got the world that we live in. Period. End of story. There's nothing else to even say about it. So to argue about whether or not there's a preferred direction down, well, of course there is. Of course there's a direction that we as humans call down. And it's a stupid argument to even have that this is where we would stand. So there is no... Because then people ask, well, why don't things go sideways? Why don't things, if they're more dense, go up? Well, we can just go back to what we just said. If those things went up instead, if when there's a density difference between this ball and its surrounding area, if things went up, then, as I said before, then the ground would be up. Does that make sense? Bad coloring here. Okay, then the ground would be up. And buildings would be built here. Because that's the way that density would align itself. And then we as humans would call that down. So to say, well, why is it down? Well, it has to be down. We as humans have to have a direction that is down. And so to then ask, well, why don't things go up? Well, what do you mean? If things went up, flip everything around, and again, they would go down. So, of course, there is no force. There is no force causing anything to go down. Nothing would float. That's ridiculous. To think that if we had just no Earth, that this ball would just float. It's not the Earth causing things to go down. It's things going down that would cause where the Earth would be. Don't know how else to explain it. I'll explain it in a little bit more detail when time comes, as I'm going to do that video this week where we'll basically watch the Paul on the Plane podcast, listen to it, and kind of pick apart some things that that Bob said, pick apart some things that Dave said that I think are ludicrous. The whole idea of floating in space is ludicrous. There is no outer space that things float. Not even Red's Rhetoric or Fight the Flat Earth believe that. It's just not something that they believe. It's not something globe believers even believe. They don't believe that things float in outer space. They don't believe that. They just think, well, everything's pulling. But again, you have to believe in this whole concept of bendable space-time to follow their logic. And it's nonsense. It's formulas. It's mathematics. It's not reality. Reality is simple. That's the way that ball would go. And then as far as the acceleration issue, I'll just mention that real quick, and then I'll read some super chats. Hopefully you're still on the screen here. Yep. As far as the acceleration issue is, if you drop this item or this item begins to fall for whatever reason, that it has to be going no matter what because of momentum or whatever you want to call it. This, soon as there's a displacement in density, which we know is immediate, that this is clearly more dense than this outer area. And we can call this air. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a vacuum. An air is just a different density than the vacuum itself, if you want to believe in a vacuum. But let's say that there is air there instead. Okay, so now we've got air instead, and we've got a black ball. All right, there you go. So we can call this air now. We don't have to pretend that we're in a vacuum. We can just bring it back to Earth. We can say that there's a ground below us, which there is in all cases. All right, and so somebody takes this ball up and they drop it. Well, the fact that there is an immediate density difference between the density of this air and the density of this ball means that it's going to go somewhere. The direction it's going to go is the direction we talked about earlier, is down. Why doesn't it go to the side? Well, then flip it to the side and just rotate it around. We as humans would call that down, regardless. And the fact that this is falling, it must be falling faster in second 2 than it was in second 1. And it must be falling faster in second 3 than it was in second 2. And it must be falling faster in second 4 than it was second 3. And there you get the 9.8 meters per second squared, which isn't even correct in the real world. That's only correct in a vacuum. And there is no natural vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Vacuums are created by humans on Earth. And if you want to come up with it, and then you have a gravimeter here. And you say, oh, well, this gravimeter measures that there's a force going down. No, it doesn't. It can measure, maybe there's a tube inside here, an evacuated tube, and there's a little piece of metal that falls in here. Well, yeah, it's calculating how fast that density change is being made. That's what it's doing. And again, maybe there's a certain level of atmosphere here at this location, which is different than at this location. And if we put that gravimeter here, say, oh, it's a slightly different thing. There must be a bigger force of gravity pulling from here. No, certainly not. So anyway, I'm going to explain that in more detail. That was just kind of spitballing, which I didn't mean to do. It wasn't going to be a topic today, but just to kind of give you a highlight of what's going to be happening. If you want to watch the Paul on the Plane episode first, you can do that, or you can wait until I discuss it. And we'll kind of be going through it. It'll be kind of a longer show because I'll cut out some parts, the beginning, but I just want to show where my opinion is on that, and then we'll leave it at that. So it's kind of going to be the Jessica Biel versus Jessica Alba. Here's all my reasons Jessica Alba is 10 times hotter, and then we'll walk away from it, and I'll just say we'll leave it at that. It's not really important to the flat earth debate as much as people think it is. I don't think it's that important. I just think that people fail to see that we've been indoctrinated on multiple levels, and one of those is to think that F equals MA, that there must be a force. As George Musser just said, we can, do, and must think of gravity as a force, even though it's not really a force, doesn't have to be a force, but we can imagine that it is one. Well, that's the case. So people have imagined forever, and they've come up with calculations, and they've come up with gravimeters, and they've come up with a lot that can be explained with this idea that gravity is a force when it's not. There is no force pulling you down to the earth. That's not the reason that cars sit on the earth, buildings sit on the earth, you and I stand on the earth, the grass is on the ground, the water's on the ground, rocks are on the ground. Has nothing to do with anything pulling or pushing downward. It's simply a difference in the relative density of those items. They exist in air. How do we know that? Well, if you change those density of those items, say we put a beach ball inside of a big pool and we pull that beach ball down. Well, it's a relative density difference. And immediately that ball is much less dense than the water and it rises up. A helium balloon, much less dense than the air that it's in. It rises up. And that explains it all. So let me check out Super Chat, see if there's any more. Thank you so much for these. I appreciate it. We have somebody, Jessica Thorne, or Trom. Sorry, Jessica Trom. Sorry to screw up your name like that. Wish I could give you more, since you and Mark are the reason I look at the world with way more caring and unselfish eyes. Love you for all making my life 100 times better and have more meaning. Appreciate that so much. That's what I think is most important. Philia D, thank you for the $2 Super Chat. Appreciate that. Michael Pomeroy, thank you very much. 14.99. Thank you so much, Lumberjack. Wow. Great seeing you at the Salton Sea. My jeranism shirt is by far my favorite shirt. Thank you so much. That was so awesome to see. I'll check out the refraction on the Salton Sea and let you know how it is when I see you in Dallas in November. Thank you so much for that Super Chat, man. That is unbelievable, amazing. I showed everybody, I think, that your shirt. Appreciate that. That was on the live stream. Yeah, it was awesome to meet you and awesome to meet everybody who was there. So thank you so much for that. And, yeah, you have my phone number, so let me know. I do want to go down there, and I don't know if I want to go, maybe we'll go down twice too. I don't know if it's better to try and go down there before the November conference. I do have some stuff going on in September. We've got the conference at the Lake Shasta, and we've got the conference at Amsterdam, both in September. So possibly we'll plan something Lumberjack for October, go down there, observe again, see what the difference is, and then we'll also go down there in December after the November conference. Less gravity at higher altitude. Can you measure it? Less gravity at higher altitude. Again, if you're at higher altitude, then there's less, then there's going to be a difference in density around you, right? I mean, the air is going to be less dense. So can you measure it? Sure. Can I? No, I'm sure it can be measured. Take a gravimeter at sea level, measure what the gravitational pull is, what they'll call a force of gravity. Sure, that meter measures something. It's a piece of technology. And then take it up to the top of a hill and use it again, and there will be less of a gravitational pull. But again, that doesn't mean that there's a force pulling you to the earth. Globe believers need a force pulling you to the earth. Globe believers will forever need gravity because it explains everything in the universe, even though it's completely magical and can't be proven scientifically. Again, can you use a gravimeter, which is a piece of technology, to then say that this proves something? Sure, but you're wrong. Just hate to tell you. Let's keep going. Is anyone doing high-altitude balloon tests anymore? What about some kind of night test to observe the stars, or has NASA cornered the helium market? Well, they have cornered the helium market. If you go to your local grocery store, a lot of signs are up that say helium is in high demand now. It's much more expensive. But no, I would love to do one, especially now that I've moved. I'd love to do more high-altitude tests, and I would love to see the stars. So hopefully that is something that we can do soon, because once you get up high enough, you don't see them anymore. I got to contact Dwayne Kellum, who does some of the best balloon experiments. I sent my GoPro up with him once. I would love to do it again. And yeah, there's some cameras. It's so frustrating what happened to the Globebuster launch, because we had two $400 night vision cameras on that balloon, and it's lost and never been found, and lots of questions about that, rumors about that, but I can't tell you what happened to it. So everyone, I appreciate the super chats a ton. It means a lot. If you want to join my Patreons group, you can do that. Be great. And again, that'll allow me to keep doing what I'm doing. If you enjoy my content, if you like the stuff I talk about, like my videos, then please join over there, or you can send me a PayPal, paypal.me/Jaron, patreon.com/Jeranism. Or if you use Venmo, there's a few people who have sent $5 tips here and there. Appreciate it a lot. Venmo @Jeranism. But as always, a big thanks to my patrons, because without them, it'd be very difficult to do this, and also it'd be nerve-wracking knowing that if I slip up or YouTube takes me down, what would I do? But with Patreon, it allows me to know that I'll be able to continue producing videos, put those out on my website, and I'd have patrons, and you guys would all have patrons to thank for that. So I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. Again, Globebusters is going to be gone for a little while, but I'll be here every Sunday at noon Pacific, or a little bit earlier, just to cover those who are looking for the show. If you want to mail me something, again, somebody just sent me a book, The Apollo Moon Missions, Hiding a Hoax in Plain Sight. that part 1 by Randy Walsh. I'm about 30 pages in. Love it so much, and it was signed for me. So it's a signed copy, which is awesome. So thank you so much to Joe Mama for sending that to me. If you want to send me something, Jeranism, P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California 95344. So look forward to tomorrow. We'll be doing Raw on Monday nights, as we always do, 6 p.m. Pacific. That will be David Weiss and myself. If you want to call in, if you got something to say then, we always accept calls the last hour at 866-26-TRUTH or 213-233-3998. So join David Weiss and myself for Jeranism Raw. That'll be tomorrow. And then again, I'll be doing a presentation or a video going through kind of David Weiss's interview where he talked about things floating if there was no downward force, which is absurd, and going through Bob's presentation. I think Bob did a good job of at least giving both sides of the story. And I think really it comes down to kind of what Paul on the Plane said. Paul on the Plane was saying, well, couldn't it be both? And I think, well, that is the answer. It is both. It's just you can think of what that action is, the result of a density difference, the result of relative density. You can think of that as a force. It's fine. It's not actually a force, but you can think of it as a force. I mean, I don't know how else to explain that to people. My house is not a boat, but can I think of it as a boat? Sure. Why can't I? Am I wrong? Yes. But it is okay to think of things as something else if you want. So there is a relative density difference in objects, and when that happens, something is a result of that. And if you want to think of that result as a force, then you may. It's not, but you can. So when George Musser says those things, like, well, and this is their own belief. This is the Globe belief, where they actually say, well, you can think of gravity as a force, but it isn't actually a force. I mean, they tell you that, but yet there's still some flat earthers that want to say, well, no, we believe that there is a force, and that's fine. People can believe that. I'm just going to give my opinion, and then we're going to leave it at that, and people can choose for themselves. And again, if you're somebody who believes that there's a downward force, that's great. You can think of what that is as a downward force, that the earth is pulling you down. But I just hope people realize that the entire globe earth model requires a force pulling you to the center of the earth. And so I don't believe we need to give them any of that, because I don't think a force is necessary. And I think that they've made it up. And then when they couldn't even prove it, they had to have Einstein come along and make something new up, which is, oh, well, it's actually not a force, because a force at a distance and something pulling something down, like the earth, can somehow throw up its magical gravity sauce and pull things out of the sky, which is ridiculous. Well, it's accelerating. It doesn't matter. Things that fall have to accelerate. How could something be going a certain speed and then just stay at that speed unless the atmosphere is the one stopping it? So, of course, it's going to accelerate until it hits the atmosphere, at which point it reaches relative terminal velocity, and at that point it stops speeding up. But it has to speed up otherwise. It's just like if you tilt a car on a hill, if that car starts rolling down, it has to be going faster in second 2 than it's going at second 1. That's just the way it goes. And if you turned that hill all the way towards vertical, well, that's what they call gravity. That's what they call force. It's not one. So we'll talk about that. That's coming up. I'll also be doing a show this week with David Weiss where we will be discussing the app. So lots going on, lots coming up. My trailer coming out soon. Check it. Look out for that, and then look out for the release of that movie right around the 50th anniversary of the biggest hoax ever played on the world, let alone this country. And I appreciate you guys checking it out. So until then, I remind you to do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till next time, guys, this has been Jeranism. Thank you so much for Ranty joining the show. And let me know. Reach out on Skype if you would like to come on and present something. My Skype address is Jeranism Truth. Till next time, guys, this has been Jeranism. Peace.